Chapter 26. After entering the encampment, Emo Xiaobai went straight to the pharmacy to purchase some healing medicines. His injuries weren't that serious, so he only bought a bottle of low-grade grade 1 healing medicine. Even so, he still spent 10 grade 1 origin crystals. Intermediate, high, and supreme grade healing medicines were probably even more expensive. As for the flawless ones, they could even regrow severed limbs. As long as one didn't die, it was equivalent to having an extra life. These things were basically priceless. But these weren't things Emo Xiaobai needed to consider at the moment. After buying the healing medicine, he went to the residential area and spent 5,000 yuan to find a house with a bathroom. After taking off his clothes, Emo Xiaobai glanced at the crisscrossing wounds on his body and grimaced as he felt the pain from them. He first washed his body with hot water, then poured down a translucent ruby-like healing medicine. Immediately, he felt waves of numbness from his wounds. These were the wounds on his body recovering. With the effects of a low-grade grade 1 healing medicine, he would be completely healed in about a night's time. After putting on his clothes, he took out the spatial ring Chun Peng had dropped and counted his spoils. Chun Peng's spatial ring was about the same size as the one on his hand, and there were quite a few things inside. Among them were a few sets of clothes, food and water, a pile of origin crystals, a pile of extraordinary materials and herbs, and a few bottles of medicine. Emo Xiaobai threw away Chun Peng's clothes, food, and water before counting the origin crystals. All of them were grade 1 origin crystals, and there were a total of 833 of them. As for the extraordinary materials and herbs, they included greystone wolf skin, wolf fangs, wolf claws, greystone boar skin, tusks, greystone grass, and so on. These extraordinary materials and herbs were all of the ordinary grade. Only elite magical beasts would produce extraordinary materials of the elite grade. The chances of ordinary magical beasts producing such materials were extremely low. With Chun Peng's strength, it was obviously unrealistic for him to kill an elite magical beast. As for the elite grade herbs, that would depend on his luck. In the end, Emo Xiaobai looked at the medicines. There were a total of 3 bottles. One was the stone skin potion with the gray potion, one was the strength potion with the blood color potion, and the last was the healing potion that Emo Xiaobai had used before, but it was a mid-grade one. Emo Xiaobai was somewhat vexed. If he had known earlier, he would have taken a look at the spatial ring and save himself the trouble of buying medicines. However, he was still quite delighted. He made a rough estimate of the items he could sell, including Chun Peng's elite longsword, elite leather armor, and a pile of extraordinary materials and herbs. Just these alone, he could sell them for close to 1,000 origin crystals. Plus, there were the origin crystals here already. There were close to 2,000 origin crystals. What a great harvest! If he were to use 60 grade 1 origin crystals a day, he wouldn't be able to use 2,000 in a month. Just this wave alone was enough for his cultivation resources. He didn't expect Chun Peng to be so wealthy. He couldn't help but reveal himself. Tomorrow, he would sell the items and then return home to continue cultivating. He exhaled and calmed his excited heart before lying down on the single bed and closing his eyes. Due to the exhaustion of the day, he quickly fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Emo Xiaobai opened his eyes. He first glanced at his injuries and found that the scabs had already fallen off. There wasn't even a scar left behind. As expected of a healing medicine, these 10 origin crystals were quite worth it. Emo Xiaobai praised inwardly. Afterward, he sat cross-legged and began his daily cultivation. An hour later, Emo Xiaobai finished his cultivation for the day and checked out of the room. It was still early, but there were already quite a few adventurers on the streets of the base. They walked along the streets in 2s and 3s, laughing as they set off for the day's work. Emo Xiaobai, on the other hand, returned to the center of the plaza and passed through the door of light to return to the Adventurers Center. He exited the Adventurers Center, hailed a cab, and headed directly to the Adventurers Guild. He had obtained some elite herbs and materials yesterday, so he planned to go to the Adventurers Guild to see if there were any missions related to this. Soon, Emo Xiaobai arrived at the Adventurers Guild. Perhaps it was because it was still early, but there were fewer people than the last time he came with his father. Mo Xiaobai arrived at a mission counter at the side of the hall. The staff behind the counter was a mermaid with a gentle smile. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. After all, Mo Xiaobai was too young. It was hard to imagine that he was here for an adventurer's mission. She spoke gently. "Hello, how can I help you?" Mo Xiaobai thought for a moment and smiled. "Please help me check if there are any missions related to the purple root grass." Purple root grass? The mermaid was startled when she heard this. The purple root grass was an elite herb. This young man didn't look old. She glanced at Mo Xiaobai's young face and didn't say anything. Instead, she operated the machine in front of her. Soon, she smiled and said, "Hello, there are a few missions related to the collection of the purple root grass. Please take a look." Then, Mo Xiaobai saw a few mission introductions appear on a screen facing him. He looked through it and found that they were all missions related to the collection of the purple root grass. The missions were all black iron. A piece of purple root grass was priced from 70 to 100. Mo Xiaobai naturally chose the mission with the highest price of 100 origin crystals. "I want to submit this mission." The mermaid blinked. She didn't expect Mo Xiaobai to really have the purple root grass. "Okay, please give me your adventurer's badge and the purple root grass." Mo Xiaobai took out the badge and the purple root grass and handed them to the mermaid. After the mermaid took the purple root grass, she called a human appraiser over. The human appraiser was also startled when he saw Mo Xiaobai. He didn't expect such a young adventurer to submit the purple root grass mission. After checking that the purple root grass was real, he nodded to the mermaid. The mermaid immediately gave Mo Xiaobai a gentle smile. "Sir, your purple root grass is effective. Are you sure you want to complete this mission?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." The mermaid operated for a while and then swiped Mo Xiaobai's black iron badge on a machine. After a beep, the mermaid said, "Mission completed." Mo Xiaobai could see that the screen in front of him had changed into his basic information. His name, age, and adventurer's level. Adventurer's level was black iron, and there was a point behind it. After completing this mission, his point became 1 point. If he wanted to upgrade from black iron to bronze, he needed 100 points. After that, he still needed to complete 3 bronze missions. The difficulty of upgrading was still very high. These were still too far away for Mo Xiaobai. Seeing that the mermaid was about to return his adventurer's badge, he quickly continued. "Right, please help me check if there are any missions that require me to collect elite greystone wolf skin, greystone wolf teeth, greystone eagle claws, and greystone eagle feathers." "What?" The mermaid was stunned when Mo Xiaobai mentioned so many elite rare materials. She wondered if she had heard wrong. Chapter 27. The mermaid and Mo Xiaobai stared at each other. After a moment of silence, the mermaid asked in surprise, "Sir, do you have any other elite extraordinary materials?" Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes. "Why would I ask you if I didn't?" The mermaid was speechless. She felt a bit dazed. Who was this person? The information in the adventurer's medal showed that he was only 16 years old, and he had only completed his adventure registration a few days ago. How did he obtain so many elite grade, extraordinary grade materials so quickly? Did his family give him them? But that was unnecessary. If he wasn't strong enough, he would die easily if he accepted an adventuring mission that exceeded his strength. She looked at Mo Xiaobai with shock in her eyes. He had just become a body fundamentalist, yet he could kill elite magical beasts? Was he a monster? "Please wait a moment." She hurriedly started to check. A moment later, the mermaid said, "Sir, there are no missions for greystone wolf teeth, greystone wolf skin, or greystone eagle claws. There's a mission to collect greystone eagle feathers." Mo Xiaobai looked at the screen in front of him. It showed the mission to collect greystone eagle feathers. Each feather was worth 10 origin crystals. Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Complete this mission for me." Saying so, he took out 8 greystone eagle feathers. The mermaid looked at the greystone eagle feathers in front of her in surprise. This young man actually had greystone eagle feathers. She reached out to take the feather, and called for a material appraiser. After confirming the authenticity of the gray stone eagle feathers, she smiled at Emo Xiaobai. "Sir, your gray stone eagle feathers are valid. Are you sure you want to complete this mission?" Emo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. After a series of operations, Emo Xiaobai's adventurer points became 2 points. "Sir, do you need to complete any other missions?" the mermaid asked. Emo Xiaobai shook his head. "No, thank you." The mermaid sighed in relief. "You're welcome." She was really afraid that Emo Xiaobai would take out another elite-grade material. If that was the case, she felt that her little heart wouldn't be able to take it. "This is your adventurer's medal." She returned the adventurer's medal to Emo Xiaobai. Emo Xiaobai took the medal and smiled. "Thank you." The mermaid blushed slightly and smiled. "You're welcome. So handsome." He looked really good when he smiled. After completing the quest, Emo Xiaobai walked out of the Adventurers Guild. There were still 3 elite-grade materials. Who would have thought that no one would collect them? TSK, let's sell it first. Emo Xiaobai walked towards the gray iron weapon shop. Emo Xiaobai had just entered the gray iron weapon shop when Old Gray, who was tidying up the shelves, saw him. He grinned, revealing his uneven teeth. "Oh, it's Xiaobai." As he spoke, he turned to look at the door. When he didn't see Mo, he said, "Your dad didn't come with you?" Emo Xiaobai shook his head. "I came alone." Old Gray looked at Emo Xiaobai in surprise and smiled. "Then what do you want to buy?" Emo Xiaobai grinned. "I'm here to sell something." "Sell something?" Old Gray was even more surprised. "Yes," Emo Xiaobai said. "I just came back from the Greystone Hills. I want to sell some extraordinary grade materials." When Old Gray heard this, he revealed a look of realization. He looked at Emo Xiaobai and grinned. "Your dad is my old customer. Then I'll take a look at your materials." "Come." As he spoke, he called a waiter to look after the shop, and took Emo Xiaobai through the side door. After entering the side door, Emo Xiaobai saw a recycling room that was similar to the equipment store in the Greystone Hill encampment. There were a few appraisers and adventurers selling materials in the recycling room. After seeing Old Gray, the appraisers quickly greeted him. "Boss." Old Gray waved his hand. "Do what you need to do." As he spoke, he found an empty space and smiled at Emo Xiaobai. "Come, let me see what you got." He didn't think that Emo Xiaobai could get much. After all, Emo had already said that Emo Xiaobai had only just broken through to become a body fundamentalist. Even if he went to the Greystone Hills, it would be good if he could kill a few demonic beasts that had just entered the ranks. It would be good if he could get a few extraordinary grade materials. Just as he had said, he had only received them personally because of Mo. Old Gray had even made up his mind that after Emo Xiaobai took out the materials, he would praise Emo Xiaobai to make him feel better. However, when Emo Xiaobai took out piles of transcendent materials, Old Gray's eyes widened, and he was a little dumbfounded. Greystone wolf skin 12 pieces? Greystone wolf fangs, Greystone wolf claws, Greystone pig skin fangs. Old Gray's eyes almost popped out. He looked at Emo Xiaobai's calm face with shock. How can there be so many extraordinary grade materials? Didn't Emo Xiaobai just become a body fundamentalist? He had to kill hundreds of demonic beasts to get so many extraordinary grade materials. Was Emo Xiaobai that strong? It wasn't just Old Gray. Even the appraisers and adventurers who came to sell materials looked over in shock. Although there weren't many extraordinary grade materials, and they were all level 1, it depended on who took them out. Looking at Emo Xiaobai's young face, it was obvious that he was young. It was very rare to be able to take out so many extraordinary grade materials at such a young age. Naturally, it attracted everyone's attention. Emo Xiaobai smiled and said, "Boss, there's something else." As he spoke, he took out the elite grade Greystone wolf fangs, Greystone wolf skin, and Greystone eagle claws. As soon as he took out the 3 materials, Old Gray Man snatched them away. He looked at the Greystone wolf fangs, then the Greystone wolf skin, and finally the Greystone eagle claws. They're all elite grade materials, and the quality is so high. There are even Greystone eagle claws. You didn't kill a Greystone eagle, did you? That's at least a 1-apertured elite grade demonic beast. Old Gray exclaimed again and again. After all, elite grade materials were hard to come by, especially when they were level 1 elite grade materials. Even Old Gray could only receive them once every few days. He didn't expect to receive 3 of them today. Moreover, they were sent by Mo Xiaobai. How could Old Gray not be surprised? Not only Old Gray, but even the other appraisers and adventurers widened their eyes, their gazes flashing. Elite grade Greystone Wolves, Greystone Eagles. This young man actually has the strength to kill them. Isn't this too unbelievable? This young man's strength is probably at the 1 apertured advanced grade, right? Hiss! Everyone looked at Mo Xiaobai with shock in their eyes. It was natural for someone so young to have such powerful strength. When Mo Xiaobai saw Old Gray and the others' shocked expressions, he quickly coughed dryly and explained, "Boss, you've misunderstood. I didn't kill them. They fell from the sky together and landed right in front of me." Everyone. Chapter 28. Upon hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, the atmosphere in the room fell silent. Everyone looked at Mo Xiaobai in a daze. Fell from the sky, and right in front of them. Why don't you go to heaven? Then Old Gray said unhappily, "Xiaobai, I'm not happy with what you said. If elite magical beasts really fall from the sky, I'll run around Pingxi Town naked for a week." The others also looked like they didn't believe him. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. He twitched the corner of his mouth and stopped talking. What's wrong with people these days? Why is no one willing to believe him when he's telling the truth? He fell into deep thought. Is there anything else? Old Gray caressed the Greystone Wolves for lovingly and looked at Mo Xiaobai expectantly. Mo Xiaobai shook his head. That's all. When Old Gray heard this, he immediately revealed a disappointed expression. He really hoped that Mo Xiaobai could bring out more elite grade extraordinary materials. If possible, it would be best if he could bring out some rare grade extraordinary materials. Then he would be able to forge rare grade equipment. A tier 1 rare equipment was definitely a precious existence. He said, "Wait a moment, let me do the math." Okay. Then Old Gray began to count the extraordinary materials. Soon he finished counting. For this elite Greystone Wolf's fur, I'll pay 100 rank 1 origin crystals, 60 for each Greystone Wolf's tooth, 60 for each Greystone Eagle's claw. As for the ordinary extraordinary materials, there will be a total of 235 rank 1 origin crystals, making a total of 575. I'll round it up to 580. How about that? Mo Xiaobai nodded. No problem, that's all. Deal. Old Gray put away the transcendent grade materials and paid Mo Xiaobai. When the others saw the deal, they all revealed envious expressions. That was 580 rank 1 origin crystals. That was quite a lot. After Mo Xiaobai put away the origin crystals, he suddenly thought of something. He said, "All right, boss, do you accept equipment here?" Equipment. Old Gray was stunned. He looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. Even the other adventurers who were envious were stunned. Old Gray Head asked, "What equipment?" Mo Xiaobai took out Qin Peng's long sword and leather armor and handed them over. Seeing what Mo Xiaobai took out, everyone's pupils shrank. The weapons and equipment did not belong to him. They were obviously taken from the dead. As for how that person died, it was worth investigating. They looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange look in their eyes. This young man did not seem to be an ordinary person. Old Gray took a deep look at Mo Xiaobai, then grinned. Of course. He took the long sword and leather armor from Mo Xiaobai's hands. After examining them, he said, 300 for the long sword and 200 for the leather armor. Mo Xiaobai nodded. Deal. Although the price was a bit lower than he had expected, it was still acceptable. After all, this was considered additional income. After dealing with Qin Peng's long sword and leather armor, Mo Xiaobai took the full amount of origin crystals and left the gray iron weapon shop. Afterward, he entered a pharmacy beside the weapon shop and dealt with the herbs he had previously harvested. He had obtained a total of 360 origin crystals from the herbs. Mo Xiaobai did a quick calculation. Including the origin crystals that Qin Peng already had, his harvest this time was a bit more than he had estimated. It was already over 2,000 origin crystals. It was enough for him to cultivate for a while. After dealing with his harvest, Mo Xiaobai called a taxi and returned home. After returning home, Mo Xiaobai found Mo and Mu Yuzhu sitting on the sofa in the living room. Seeing Mo Xiaobai return, the two revealed a kind smile and called him over. Mo Xiaobai happily planned to go over and show off his harvest to his parents. But in the end, he found that they had followed him to the void domain and also knew that he hadn't returned to the base after nightfall. Thus, Mo Xiaobai was helplessly lectured the entire morning. As for Mo Xiaobai's harvest, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu could only attribute it to Mo Xiaobai's good luck. After all, they couldn't see the light around Mo Xiaobai. In the next few days, with enough cultivation resources, Mo Xiaobai returned to his normal routine. He would wake up in the morning and complete his daily cultivation before going to school. After school, he would go straight home. However, during these few days, 2 more people had been killed by unknown murderers. Moreover, their deaths were just as tragic. Because the victims were all young people in their teens, everyone was worried. Mo Xiaobai had been listening to his classmates discussing this issue when he was in school. The only good news was that these people were all alone and died in extremely remote areas. It could be seen that the murderers still had a lot of scruples. That evening, Mo Xiaobai went straight home after school. After entering the neighborhood, Mo Xiaobai passed by the training ground in the neighborhood. This training ground was where the body fundamentalists in the neighborhood trained. Of course, most of them were at the body refinement stage and 1 aperture level. It was used to train their bodies. Before Mo Xiaobai had broken through to become a body fundamentalist, he had often come here to train before the sun rose. If he wanted to achieve something, he had to put in the corresponding amount of sweat. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the training ground and saw a young rabbit person training inside. He couldn't help but be stunned. He said with some surprise, "Xiaoran." Hearing this, the young rabbit person raised his head and looked over. He had the same square face as Ningfeng. He looked a little dignified, with a buzz cut and a pair of white rabbit ears on his head. Ning Ran was Ningfeng's son. He was 12 years old now. When Ning Ran saw Mo Xiaobai, his eyes lit up and he smiled in surprise. "Brother Xiaobai, you're out of school." He put down the iron dumbbell in his hand and jogged over to Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes." He looked at Ning Ran and asked in confusion, "Why are you here today? Does Uncle Ning know?" Ning Ran scratched her head and smiled innocently. "It was my dad who brought me here. Didn't he say that the murder case was getting bigger? He was a little worried, so he asked me to come here every day after school. You know, there's no one at home." Speaking of this, Ning Ran's eyes dimmed. Mo Xiaobai fell silent. Mo Xiaobai had heard about this too. Ningfeng had been injured a few years ago, so it was much harder for him to improve his cultivation. He had been stuck at the peak of the 2nd aperture for a long time now. Ning Ran's mother was quite snobbish. Not long after giving birth to Ning Ran, she felt that Ningfeng wasn't very promising, so she left Ningfeng and Ning Ran. All these years, Ning Ran had been living with Ningfeng. It was also because of Ning Ran that Ningfeng was willing to be a security guard in the community. Ningfeng used to be a rather famous adventurer. He even worked with Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu in the early years. However, adventurers were too dangerous. If something happened to him, what would Ning Ran do? After all, he was still young. Seeing that Ning Ran was a little disappointed, Mo Xiaobai fell silent and rubbed Ning Ran's head. The short hair was a little prickly. He smiled and said, "I see that you're refining your body. Come, Brother Xiaobai will teach you." Chapter 29. Really? Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Ning Ran's eyes lit up and he smiled. "Okay, thank you, Brother Xiaobai." The two of them walked towards the training ground. Just then, Ning Ran seemed to have thought of something. He turned to Mo Xiaobai. "By the way, Brother Xiaobai, I heard from my dad that you've become a body fundamentalist?" Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes." "Wow." Ning Ran's face was full of admiration. "Brother Xiaobai, you're amazing. You'll definitely be able to get into a good school. You might even be able to get into one of the big 3. Then, you'll become the strongest adventurer and explore the 3 forbidden zones. Seeing Ning Ran's longing face, Mo Xiaobai couldn't help but laugh. Usually, candidates who had just become body fundamentalists had no hope of getting into the big 3. As for exploring the forbidden zones, that was even more distant. However, Ning Ran was still young and had his own dreams. Moreover, Mo Xiaobai was different. Seeing Ning Ran's admiration, he smiled and rubbed his head. Then you can watch Brother Xiao Bai get into the big 3. Yes, yes. Ning Ran nodded. She clenched her fist and waved it. I also have to work harder and get into the big 3. At that time, my dad will definitely be very happy. At that time, Brother Little White, as my senior, you have to protect me. You little brat. Mo Xiaobai couldn't help but laugh. Those who didn't know would think that the 2 of them would definitely get into the big 3. Didn't he see the other trainers looking at him like he was an idiot? Then you have to work hard. If you get into the big 3, Uncle Ning will be proud of you. Yes. Ning Ran nodded firmly. Since you want to get into a famous school, then let's start. I'll be stricter. Ning Ran's face turned bitter. He was a bit dumbfounded. However, he quickly pulled himself together and looked like he was ready to die. Come on, Brother Xiao Bai. I'm a man who wants to get into a famous school. Don't pity me. Mo Xiao Bai. Black lines appeared on his forehead as he cracked a smile. All right then, let's start with 50 kilograms of dumbbells. Ning Ran. He looked at Mo Xiao Bai with a terrified expression, as though he was looking at a demon. Mo Xiao Bai instantly became even happier. Mo Xiao Bai guided Ning Ran in her cultivation. Time flowed by and the sky quickly darkened. That's it? Don't you want to get into a famous school? The corners of Mo Xiao Bai's mouth curled up as he looked at Ning Ran, who was panting on the ground. At this moment, Mo Xiao Bai saw a group of people walking over from a small path in the distance. The leader was Ning Feng. Ning Feng walked over and saw Ning Ran lying on the ground. Ning Feng was a little surprised. Xiao Bai, this is? Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, Uncle Ning, I'm supervising Xiao Ran's cultivation. Ning Feng nodded his head in realization. Then he smiled brightly and patted Mo Xiao Bai's shoulder. I see. Then I'll have to trouble you. I've been busy with work recently and haven't had time to guide him. Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, It's no trouble, Uncle Ning. In any case, he could only cultivate for an hour a day. As for cultural studies, his grades were still at the top of the grade. Moreover, with his current cultivation, cultural studies grades were already very low. Therefore, he was actually quite free. Ning Feng nodded and looked at Ning Ran. Little brat, listen to your brother Xiao Bai, okay? Ning Ran. He looked at Ning Feng with a bitter expression. Was this really his biological father? He was abused by this demon, okay? Was this person blind? Mo Xiao Bai saw Ning Ran's bitter expression and smiled. That's all for today. I have to go back too. Otherwise, my parents will be worried. Ning Ran's eyes lit up. Bye, Brother Xiao Bai. He waved his hand repeatedly, looking very happy. Mo Xiao Bai waved his hand with a smile and turned to leave. After he left, he faintly heard Ning Feng's voice behind him. Continue cultivating. Look at your brother Xiao Bai. He's already a body fundamentalist. What about you? Train more. Ning Ran's scream echoed in the night sky. Those who heard it were sad, and those who heard it cried. Mo Xiao Bai returned home. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were already waiting for him. Mo Yu frowned. Why are you back so late? Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, In the district, I met Xiaoran, so I guided him in his cultivation. Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu's expression softened. So it's little Ran. Then you should teach him more. That child also has a hard life. Mu Yuzhu sighed softly. Mo Yu's expression was complicated. Let's see. Time passed. Soon, there was only half a month left before the college entrance exam. As the college entrance exam approached, the atmosphere in Moonlight Middle School became more oppressive. This depression was even stronger than the depression of the murder case. After all, the college entrance exam was closely related to every graduate. If they didn't do well, their starting point in the future would be worse than others. Everyone would do their best to deal with it. Even Zheng Dong, who always liked to talk nonsense, started to focus on his revision. Mo Xiaobai's mood didn't change much. His cultivation had broken through to level 4 this morning. At this speed, it wouldn't be a problem for him to break through to level 5 before the college entrance exam. Coupled with his flawless cultivation technique, his Titan strength talent, and his perfect triple slash, it shouldn't be a problem for him to get into the big 3. With confidence, he naturally didn't panic. On the other hand, Li Qishui was more nervous than him. Li Qishui would talk to Mo Xiaobai from time to time, telling him to calm down and perform well during the college entrance exam. Although a body fundamentalist could easily enter the top 100 colleges, there was a difference between the top 100 and the top 100. The higher the ranking, the better the resources and the better the teaching staff. Hongsher also talked to Mo Xiaobai, Lin Mingyu, and Mengyu, telling them to work hard. Because of the last elite trial, Mo Xiaobai, Lin Mingyu, and Mengyu had become friends. Lin Mingyu and Mengyu had already reached the peak of body refinement and were now at the stage of sensing the origin acupoints. At this moment, the two of them were equally nervous. They were even more nervous than the average examinee. There was still half a month left. If they could sense the origin acupoints and break through to become a body fundamentalist, it would be a huge leap for their results. They had to give it their all. Unfortunately, Mo Xiaobai couldn't help them even if he wanted to. After all, everyone's origin acupoints were in different positions and needed to sense it themselves. In the evening, after school, everyone rushed out of the classroom like a swarm of bees. During this time, everyone had learned to be obedient and went home directly after school. Mo Xiaobai naturally packed his things and left the classroom. When Mo Xiaobai left the school building and walked towards the school gate, he suddenly stopped. He looked at the other side of the school wall, and his eyes widened. This was because he saw a dense red light on the other side of the wall. This red light was even more dazzling than the one he saw when the transcendent material fell from the sky in the Greystone Hills. Chapter 30. There was a treasure. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. After confirming the location, he quickened his pace and walked out of the school gate, jogging towards the area where the red light was converging. Soon, Mo Xiaobai arrived at the wall where the red light was converging. Outside the wall was a small path that was more than 2 meters wide. On the other side of the path, there was an office building. Mo Xiaobai walked along the path and quickly arrived at the place where the red light was converging. After arriving at his seat, Mo Xiaobai was stunned. There were no treasures on the path, and it was very clean. The red light was converging on the ground above the path. Seeing this familiar scene, Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows. Was it the same as when a magical beast fell from the sky? After that, what kind of treasure would fall from the sky? Mo Xiaobai looked at the sky. It was not too late. The sky was still dark blue, but the sun had already set in the west. There were no clouds in the sky, so he could not tell if a treasure would fall from the sky. After thinking for a while, he looked around. After confirming that there was nothing around the red light, Mo Xiaobai frowned. How long would he have to wait before a treasure would fall from the sky? If they waited for too long, it would probably be dark by then. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai looked around. This path was very quiet and remote. Speaking of which, the culprit seemed to like places like this. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai felt a chill run down his spine. What should he do? Should he wait? Mo Xiaobai looked at the dazzling red light and fell into deep thought. After a while, he gritted his teeth and made up his mind to wait. Since the red light had appeared here, he should at least have good luck before it disappeared, right? After getting the treasure, he should be fine as soon as he ran to the main street. Moreover, his cultivation was already at level 4 of 1 aperture. His combat strength was definitely above level 4. It was not certain if the culprit was a match for him. After all, the victims were all young men and women who were around his age or even younger than him. None of them were body fundamentalists. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai's eyes became determined. However, Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed. It was better to be fully prepared, just in case. He looked around and found a corner to take off his school uniform jacket. He took out the elite leather armor and put it on. Then, he put on his jacket again. Fortunately, the leather armor was not heavy, so it was not obvious. As for the heavy sword, He could take it out of the space ring if there was any danger. Finally, Mo Xiaobai looked at the potions in his space ring. Stone Skin Potion, Strength Potion, Healing Potion. These 3 potions were his trump cards. If the murderer was stronger, he could drink the Stone Skin Potion and Strength Potion. At the very least, he could run to the streets. After preparing everything, Mo Xiaobai took a deep breath and waited quietly for the pie to fall from the sky. Time passed. Mo Xiaobai watched the sky turn from dark blue to dark. The setting sun in the distance seemed to be sinking below the horizon. After about half an hour, the sky was completely dark. The sky was like a black curtain dotted with stars. Mo Xiaobai frowned slightly. He looked at the red light and then at the twinkling stars in the sky. The sky was completely dark. Why hadn't the treasure appeared yet? It would be bad if they ran into the culprit. Mo Xiaobai was a little uncertain. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai suddenly heard a faint sound from afar. He quickly tensed up and looked in the direction of the sound with vigilance. "Boss, are we really going in? What are you afraid of?" Everyone is afraid of the culprit at night. Only a few companies are still working in the office building. Let's secretly find an empty company and do a good job. But what if we run into the culprit? Don't worry. I've done my research. The culprit only attacked kids in their teens. We're both adults. Nothing will happen. But, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and follow. Under the hazy starlight, Mo Xiaobai saw 2 dark figures slowly approaching from the side of the dim path. One of them was fat and the other was thin. They were discussing softly as they approached. Mo Xiaobai's expression was a little strange. Hearing what they said, were they 2 thieves? Speaking of which, this time was indeed quite suitable for thieves to be active. Very quickly, they approached Mo Xiaobai. With the help of the starlight, Mo Xiaobai could see their faces clearly. The fat one had a fierce face. His face was round, and he had a pair of black and white rabbit ears. He was a rabbit person with a fierce expression. The thin one had a pair of clever eyes. He was an elf. He was bent over, and his eyes kept glancing around from time to time. He looked a little shifty-eyed. These 2 were not even body fundamentalists. They were just ordinary body refinement cultivators. The light on their bodies was so light that it was almost white. After Mo Xiaobai saw them, the 2 obviously saw Mo Xiaobai as well. The bodies of the 2 men trembled at the same time. The skinny elf let out a cry of alarm and shrank back. The fat rabbit human was obviously more courageous. He asked in a gruff voice, "Who are you?" Mo Xiaobai could still hear the slight tremor in his voice. Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes when he saw the frightened look on their faces. If it was any other time, he might be in the mood to tease them. But now he was waiting for the treasure to appear. He did not have that much time. He was just about to go up and knock them out when he suddenly stopped. His muscles tensed up, and he looked at the 2 thieves expressionlessly. Behind the thin elf, strands of black and red light intertwined together appeared. The black and red rays of light circled around the skinny elf and slowly approached Mo Xiaobai. The skinny elf didn't seem to feel anything and still had a nervous expression. Mo Xiaobai's heart beat violently. His muscles were tense, and his heart was full of shock. He found that there was nothing where the black and red light were. It was as if a piece of air was floating toward him. At the same time, he felt an extremely strong sense of malice from where the black and red light were. This malice was so strong that it made his stomach twitch and he felt a little nauseous. This situation was too strange. Mo Xiaobai's scalp went numb and his entire body felt like it was being pricked by needles. In his vision, there was only the intertwining light, and he could not even feel his own heartbeat. What the hell was this? Why couldn't he see a shadow? P.S. Thank you, Winter Dream. Lang Wuxia, Book Friend 20190207230957899. Tatar for the tips. Thank you. Chapter 31. Wait a minute. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai's mind flashed as he guessed something. Thinking of this possibility, Mo Xiaobai felt a chill in his heart. His mouth felt dry and his mind went blank. It couldn't be, right? How could he be so unlucky? Looking at the black and red light quietly approaching him, Mo Xiaobai didn't have time to think. He suppressed the fear in his heart as a cold malevolence flashed through his eyes. When the light was about 2 meters away from Mo Xiaobai, his tense body suddenly moved. The gray stone heavy sword appeared in his right hand without warning. At the same time, the force in his origin aperture erupted and poured into his body. His right foot suddenly took a step forward. Boom! Fine cracks appeared on the bluestone floor, and a dull sound echoed in the small path. Mo Xiaobai's face was ferocious as he held the heavy sword with both hands and injected spiritual force into it. 3 consecutive slashes. A white light surrounded the gray stone heavy sword. The white light flashed 3 times in the dark night and slashed towards the light. Chi! 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 The sound of 3 blades piercing flesh rang out. Then, 3 streams of purplish-black blood shot out from the originally empty air and splattered on the limestone floor and the wall. At the same time, a black shadow twisted in the originally empty air and a figure slowly emerged. It was a huge black dog with a shoulder height of about 1.5 meters. The big dog had deep black skin. There was no hair on its skin, and it looked extremely smooth. One could see the bulging muscles on its body. Its eyes were blood red and flickered with the strangest and most evil light in the world. It was filled with extreme malice. There was also a spiral black horn 10 centimeters long on top of the big dog's head. The moment he saw the big dog, Mo Xiaobai's pupils contracted violently. His body tensed up and he gripped the heavy sword in his hand as if he was facing a great enemy. As expected, it was the Shadow Demon Hound. Damn it! How could there be a demon here? Mo Xiaobai's scalp went numb as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over him. His whole body felt cold. A demon actually appeared in Pingxi Town. Roar! The Shadow Demon Hound opened its mouth and growled, showing its yellow, ferocious teeth. Thick saliva dripped from the corner of its mouth. Its blood-red eyes flashed with a strong, evil intent as it stared at Mo Xiaobai. A faint black light flashed around its body. Mo Xiaobai looked at the Shadow Demon Hound, sweat dripping down his forehead. Demons had always been the symbol of cruelty and terror. Even if the Shadow Demon Hound was just an ordinary demon hound, it was still extremely powerful. This was the first time Mo Xiaobai had encountered a demon, and his heart was beating like a drum. Roar! At this moment, the Shadow Demon Hound let out a low growl. It stomped on the ground and turned into a black shadow, pouncing towards Mo Xiaobai. Its right claw sliced through the night sky, aiming for Mo Xiaobai's neck. Mo Xiaobai's body tensed up. He twisted his waist and leaned to the side, blocking with his heavy sword. Clang! The Shadow Demon Hound's sharp claws collided with the heavy sword, creating a deafening sound. Mo Xiaobai felt a huge force coming from the heavy sword. His expression changed, and his body involuntarily retreated. Tiny cracks appeared on the ground, and he only stopped after taking 5 or 6 steps back. However, what surprised Mo Xiaobai was that after the Shadow Demon Hound's attack, it actually staggered when it landed on the ground. It lost its balance and almost fell down. Moreover, the black light around the Shadow Demon Hound's body dimmed slightly, and it was no longer as dark as before. His heart skipped a beat, and he widened his eyes in shock. Had the Shadow Demon Hound become weaker? What was going on? At this moment, Mo Xiaobai discovered that there were 3 bone-deep wounds on the Shadow Demon Hound's right leg and right shoulder. After the attack, just now, its wounds were torn open, and streams of purplish-black blood slowly flowed out, flowing down its right leg and onto the ground. It was the 3 consecutive slashes from before. Mo Xiaobai was pleasantly surprised. The 3 consecutive slashes from before had hurt it, and it was quite a serious injury. If that was the case, Mo Xiaobai narrowed his eyes. Did this mean that he had a chance of killing the Shadow Demon Hound? He was very confident that this Shadow Demon Hound was the culprit, and the Adventurers Guild still had a mission related to this guy. As long as he could kill it, he would be able to obtain an elite origin skill crystal and 500 origin crystals. Mo Xiaobai's heartbeat sped up, and the way he looked at the Shadow Demon Hound changed. He wasn't completely without a chance. Taking advantage of the Shadow Demon Hound's pause, and Mo Xiao Bai held the heavy sword in his right hand and took out a blood-colored medicine with his left. He opened the bottle with one hand and poured the medicine into his mouth. As soon as the strength medicine entered his stomach, Mo Xiao Bai felt a strange energy in his body that increased his physical strength by more than 10%. He didn't even have time to rejoice before the shadow demon hound, which had stabilized its body, pounced at him again. This time, the shadow demon hound used its left claw. Moreover, there was a faint flicker of black light on its left claw. It was much more threatening than before, and Mo Xiao Bai's hair stood on end. He tensed his body, and with a low growl, origin power surged, and the heavy sword flashed with white light. Triple slash. Clang, clang, clang. The three heavy slashes landed on the shadow demon hound's left claw, and sparks flew everywhere, dancing in the dark night. Mo Xiao Bai and the shadow demon hound both took a few steps back. Mo Xiao Bai stabilized his body, but the shadow demon hound's right leg tilted, and it lost its balance again. Now was the time. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes flashed with killing intent, and his legs bent slightly, turning into a blur as he rushed forward. He held the heavy sword with both hands and raised it above his head, white light flashing on the blade. Triple slash. Three white lights flashed in the dark night, and the shadow demon hound growled as it tried to dodge. However, because its body had lost its balance, its movements had become distorted and slow. Chi, chi, chi. The three slashes landed heavily on the shadow demon hound's head. A large gash appeared on the shadow demon hound's head, and purplish-black blood gushed out. Whoa! It let out a low and painful whine, and its body fell heavily to the ground. Its body struggled on the ground, and its limbs twitched before it lost all signs of life. Mo Xiao Bai watched the black light on the shadow demon hound's body slowly disappear, and he let out a small breath, his eyes still filled with fear. Fortunately, he had been able to see the light on this guy's body from the beginning. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. The shadow demon hound was a shadow demon hound, and it could turn invisible. If he didn't have a way to guard against invisible origin skills, then he would be extremely lucky to be alive after encountering the shadow demon hound. Speaking of which, he had clearly come to look for treasure. So why had he encountered such a dangerous demon? Mo Xiao Bai didn't feel good at all. At this moment, a faint blue light flashed on the shadow demon hound's corpse. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened, and he stared at the shadow demon hound's corpse. Chapter 32. Rare Grade. Mo Xiao Bai's heart pounded violently. This shadow demon hound was a high-grade rank 1 demon, so the item it produced was clearly also rank 1. It was actually a rank 1 rare material. Mo Xiao Bai watched expectantly as the shadow demon hound's flesh continued to shrink. Soon after, its flesh began to crack open like dried mud, and its spine slowly emerged from its back. Ka ka ka. As it absorbed the flesh's energy, the spine continued to change, as if a great and mysterious power was constantly shaping it. Finally, it formed a pitch-black sword made entirely of bones. This black bone sword was about 1.5 meters long, and its body was wide. The blade was black and sharp, and there were strange light gray vein patterns on the back of the sword, giving it a deep and mysterious feeling. After the black bone sword was completely formed, the blue light on the black bone sword slowly receded. Mo Xiao Bai looked at the black bone sword, his eyes wide, and his breathing rapid. Having great equipment. Powerful demon beasts and demons could directly produce equipment, but the chances were not as high as origin skills. This kind of equipment was not man-made. It was as if heaven and earth had cast it. It could be said to be flawless, and it made the greatest use of extraordinary materials. Even the most powerful blacksmiths would find it difficult to create such perfect equipment. This kind of equipment was called heaven-grade equipment, equipment made by the heavens. Who would have thought that this shadow demon hound would directly produce heaven-grade equipment, and a rare-grade sword-type equipment at that? It was just right for him. Mo Xiao Bai hurriedly picked up the black bone sword. There were veined patterns on the bone sword's hilt. It was very easy to hold. The moment he grasped the sword, A powerful energy flowed from the black bone sword into his body. Mo Xiao Bai felt his pure strength increase by nearly 20%, and his bones and organs became more resilient and strong. Even the explosive power of his muscles and his body's flexibility had increased. His physical strength had increased in all aspects. Mo Xiao Bai was pleasantly surprised. Moreover, the black bone sword's weight was very suitable for him. Mo Xiao Bai lightly brandished the black bone sword. The pitch-black sharp blade cut through the air like a shadow in the dark night. It was silent, but it contained a fierce, killing intent. He even felt that the speed at which he swung his sword had increased. How convenient! Mo Xiao Bai caressed the black bone sword lovingly. This was the best sword-type weapon he had ever encountered. In comparison, the gray stone sword was far inferior. After all, it was a piece of heavenly forged equipment. Even the most outstanding equipment blacksmith might not be able to forge such a piece of equipment, let alone an ordinary blacksmith. Just this black bone sword alone could increase his combat strength by 30%, or even close to 40%. It should be much stronger than ordinary rare-ranked weapons. I'll give a name. Mo Xiao Bai stroked the spine of the sword and pondered. Since it was a heavy sword made from the spine of a shadow demon hound, he decided to call it the demon hound's spine-heavy sword. After putting away the demon hound's spine, he once again looked at the shadow demon hound's corpse on the ground. In addition to the demon hound's spine-heavy sword, there were also 25 origin crystals and a pair of pitch-black claws. These claws flickered with a faint green light. They were extraordinary materials at the elite level. Mo Xiao Bai picked up everything. What a good harvest! Mo Xiao Bai was in a good mood. But why hadn't that pie fallen from the sky yet? Mo Xiao Bai frowned and turned to look at the red ray of light. However, he was shocked when he saw it. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened. He realized that the originally dazzling red light had gradually dimmed and soon turned white. Mo Xiao Bai. A question mark slowly appeared in Mo Xiao Bai's mind. A thought flashed through his mind as he came up with a guess. Could it be that the pie that fell from the sky was this shadow demon hound? Wasn't this pie a bit too big? Mo Xiao Bai felt his scalp go numb. If it wasn't for his strength, he would have been dead by now, all right? Wait a minute. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened as he came up with another guess. Could this ray of light have calculated that he would be able to kill this shadow demon hound? Otherwise, this red ray of light should have turned black. Mo Xiao Bai sucked in a breath of cold air. This ray of light really was mysterious. Ah, right, there was also the corpse. Mo Xiao Bai remembered that the Adventurers Guild had a mission related to the murderer. The rewards for that mission were exceptionally generous, and there was even an elite origin crystal. Although he didn't know whether or not this shadow demon hound was the murderer of those murders, he would take it to the Adventurers Guild tomorrow and ask them about it. Just as Mo Xiao Bai was about to put away the corpse, he suddenly heard something fall to the ground. He raised his head and saw two figures not too far away. It was the two thieves. Their faces were pale as they stared at the shadow demon hound's corpse in horror. The skinny elf was sitting on the ground. Presumably, the sound of falling to the ground was made by him. It was the two of them. Mo Xiao Bai had almost forgotten about them. Now that he was in a good mood, he couldn't help but smile at the two of them. You haven't left yet? Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the fat and skinny elves quivered. The skinny elf even let out a strange sound of fear. The two of them looked at Mo Xiao Bai with fear and respect. The skinny elf shrieked, duh, 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 duh. Spare me. The fat rabbit man could no longer stand. His legs gave way and he fell to his knees. His voice trembled as he said, My lord, we're just passing by. Mo Xiao Bai looked at their frightened faces and couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. His forehead was full of black lines. He wasn't a demon, so why was she so afraid of him? He smiled and said, Passing by? Aren't you here to steal something? Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the two of them trembled violently, as if they had been doused with ice water in winter. They immediately fell to the ground. The fat rabbit man was terrified. My lord, please spare us. We won't dare to do it again. The skinny elf broke down and cried, My lord, we were wrong. Don't kill us. Mo Xiao Bai Who said he was going to kill them? He was just about to speak when the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. Four figures quickly approached and surrounded Mo Xiao Bai and the other two. Mo Xiao Bai's pupils contracted violently and his body tensed up. So fast, these people were at least at the high level of 2 apertures. You've been surrounded. Don't move. A cold voice sounded. The 4 people slowly approached, and Mo Xiao Bai could see their faces clearly. A barbarian middle-aged man, a night creature woman, a human woman, and a merman. All 4 of them wore blue uniforms with white stripes. There was even a long sword embroidered on their chests. At this moment, all 4 of their expressions were extremely cold. They frowned when they saw the fat rabbit man and skinny elf lying on the ground. However, when they saw Mo Xiao Bai, they couldn't help but be stunned. When they saw the withered corpse of the shadow demon hound not far from Mo Xiao Bai's feet, their pupils contracted violently. Shadow demon hound. The human woman with long flowing black hair cried out in surprise. Everyone immediately focused their attention on Mo Xiao Bai. Chapter 33. Captain. The night creature girl's ruby-like eyes flashed as she looked at Mo Xiao Bai. Her body was tense, and she was in the most suitable state to attack. It was as if as long as Mo Xiao Bai made the slightest move, she would immediately attack. Xian, don't be so nervous. The middle-aged barbarian waved his hand and looked deeply at Mo Xiao Bai. His resolute face with a full beard was covered by a layer of shadow under the night sky. His brown eyes looked at Mo Xiao Bai and said slowly, "Young man, who are you?" Mo Xiao Bai felt the stares of the 4 people with at least 2 apertures open. His heart sank as he felt a strong pressure. However, the light around the 4 of them was white, so they should be harmless to him. Mo Xiao Bai was relieved. He thought for a while and said, "I'm Mo Xiao Bai, a 3rd-year student of Moonlight Middle School." "You're still a 3rd-year student?" The 4 of them did not expect Mo Xiao Bai's answer. They were stunned. They did not expect Mo Xiao Bai to be so young. The few of them looked at Mo Xiao Bai's somewhat young face and chose to believe him. After all, there was no way to hide something like this when they investigated. Mo Xiao Bai could feel their bodies relax a little. Mo Xiao Bai raised his eyebrows. "Then who are you?" The barbarian man said slowly, "We're Azure Edge." Azure Edge. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened as he looked at the 4 of them. Surprise flashed across his eyes. Azure Edge was the Empire's law enforcer. They specialized in dealing with demons, evil gods, and evil cults. They belonged to the Empire's military, which was higher than the guards. The people inside were all elites. Most of them had heard of Azure Edge, but not many had seen them in person. After all, demons, evil gods, and evil cults rarely appeared in public. Once it appeared in public, it would be a big deal. Thinking of this, Mo Xiao Bai glanced at the shadow demon hound's corpse and revealed a look of understanding. They must be here for the Umbra Demon Hound. Maybe they were the ones who issued the Adventurers Guild's mission? As expected, the barbarian man looked at Mo Xiao Bai and said gently, "Mo Xiao Bai, did you see who killed the Umbra Demon Hound?" Mo Xiao Bai's expression was a little strange. He pointed at himself. "I killed it." "Yeah." The 4 members were stunned when they heard Mo Xiao Bai's words. They looked at Mo Xiao Bai with strange expressions. The merman with shoulder-length blue hair seemed to have heard a funny joke, and he said with a smile, "You? How is that possible?" The woman looked at Mo Xiao Bai and smiled. "Little brother, this isn't joke." Mo Xiao Bai said expressionlessly, "I'm not joking. Is there anyone else here other than me in them?" Mo Xiao Bai pointed at the fat rabbit human and thin elves who were trembling and did not dare make a sound. The 4 were speechless. They looked at each other with strange expressions. They still couldn't believe it. The shadow demon hound that possessed the power of shadow could even kill a 2-apertured expert with a sneak attack. But what about Mo Xiao Bai? He was only a 1-chakra powerhouse. Not only that, he was only a 3rd-year high school student. His cultivation shouldn't be high. Even if it was a head-on battle, he shouldn't be a match for the Umbra Demon Hound. No one would believe that Mo Xiao Bai was the one who killed the Umbra Demon Hound. The barbarian said slowly, Mo Xiaobai. How did you kill the Umbra Demon Hound? The Umbra Demon Hound can turn invisible. Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai kicked the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse and smiled embarrassedly. This guy's malice towards me is too strong. I took advantage of the time when it wanted to ambush me and ambushed it. The four members of Blue Edge were speechless. There were already a few words written on their faces. Like hell we'll believe you. If it was that easy, how could the Umbra Demon Hound attack others? Night creature Xian Xian looked at the Umbra Demon Hound's corpse and then at Mo Xiaobai. Normal people who just became a body fundamentalist can't attack the Umbra Demon Hound. Mo Xiaobai looked at Xian Xian in confusion. Who said I'm a body fundamentalist? I'm already at level 4 with 1 chakra. What? The four of them were shocked. Their eyes widened as they looked at Mo Xiaobai in disbelief. A third-year high school student in Pingxi Town who could break through to 1 chakra was already considered a top genius. Mo Xiaobai said he was already at level 4 with 1 chakra. How is that possible? You're really at level 4 with 1 chakra? The merman asked in disbelief. Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes and released his aura. The four of them held their breaths as they looked at Mo Xiaobai in shock. It's true. The barbarian's gaze turned gentle as he looked at Mo Xiaobai. The human girl smiled and said, Pingxi Town hasn't had a genius like you for over 100 years. Little brother, you're really talented. Indeed, even the merman who doubted him had to admit that Mo Xiaobai's talent was terrifying. Mo Xiaobai smiled embarrassedly. You're too kind. Seniors, you're flattering me. However, even if you're already at level 4 with 1 chakra, you shouldn't be able to sneak up on the Umbra Demon Hound. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, I used a rare grade origin skill. The four of them held their breaths again. Rare grade origin skill. Even they only had 1 or 2 rare grade origin skills. But this third-year high school student already had 1? Mo Xiaobai thought of something and took out the elite Demon Hound's claws. All right, this is the material extracted from the Umbra Demon Hound. I was planning to keep the Umbra Demon Hound's carcass to complete a mission at the Adventurers Guild. He glanced at the 4 enforcers from Azure Edge. You guys are the ones who issued the mission regarding the murderer, right? The 4 enforcers from Azure Edge looked at the Demon Hound's claws in Mo Xiaobai's hands and confirmed their suspicions. These were indeed the Umbra Demon Hound's claws. They then looked at the Umbra Demon Hound's carcass. The claws were indeed extracted, and there seemed to be other materials extracted as well. However, they didn't ask any questions. After confirming that Mo Xiaobai was the one who killed the Umbra Demon Hound, they were even more shocked. This was an Umbra Demon Hound. It was actually killed by a third-year high school student. This was truly unbelievable. When he heard Mo Xiaobai mention the mission, the barbarian nodded with a smile. Indeed, that mission was issued by Azure Edge. Xian Xian, go check if it's this beast. The night creature girl, Xian Xian, came to Mo Xiaobai's side and smiled kindly at Mo Xiaobai. Then, she squatted in front of the Umbra Demon Hound's carcass and took out a device to fiddle with. Soon, her face lit up with joy. She stood up and nodded at the barbarian. Captain, it really is this Umbra Demon Hound. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. It seemed like the reward was in his hands. P.S. Thank you Mian_Yang, Idiot Shio, for the reward. Thank you, big brother. Chapter 34. Very good. The middle-aged barbarian smiled when he heard Xian Xian's words. The human woman and merman heaved a sigh of relief. The barbarian man looked at Mo Xiaobai with gratitude. Mo Xiaobai, thank you so much. This Shadow Demon Hound is very cunning and has the ability to hide. We've been chasing it for a few days, and it escaped every time. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid it would have escaped again. Mo Xiaobai smiled and shook his head. You're welcome. It attacked me first. The 4 experts from Azure Edge twitched the corners of their mouths. The Shadow Demon Hound probably died with its eyes wide open. The barbarian man looked at the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse and continued. As for the mission, Xiaobai, why don't you come with us to the Adventurers Guild and we'll complete the mission? Mo Xiaobai naturally had no objections. He nodded. All right. Then, Xian put away the shadow demon hound's corpse while the merman and woman cleaned up the scene. After dealing with the matter, the group was about to leave when they suddenly saw the fat rabbit person and skinny elf, who were still trembling and not daring to make sound. The middle-aged barbarian asked in confusion, "Who are these two?" When Mo Xiaobai heard this, he said, "The two of them are thieves. They were planning to enter here to steal something." Mo Xiaobai pointed at the office building. The powerhouses of the Azure Edge frowned and looked at the fat rabbit human and the skinny elf. Sensing their gazes, the fat rabbit man and the skinny elf trembled even more violently. The skinny elf, in particular, could not help but whimper. The barbarian man said coldly, "Cayenne, take them to the magistrate's office." The human woman with long black hair nodded. She glanced coldly at the trembling, skinny elf and fat rabbit person before grabbing them by the collar and dragging them away. The barbarian turned his head and smiled at Mo Xiaobai. "All right, let's go." Yes. The members of Azure Edge had their own vehicles. It was an armored vehicle covered in blue and white metal with a large interior. After getting into the armored vehicle, the merman drove the vehicle toward the Adventurers Guild. Along the way, Mo Xiaobai conversed with the middle-aged barbarian and the others. The middle-aged barbarian was called Wu Liang, the captain of a combat squad from Pingxi Town's Azure Edge. The mermaid was called Sun Wenshan, the night creature girl was called Lin Xian, and the human girl who led the two thieves to the public security office was called Li Cayenne. All three of them were Wu Liang's team members. They chatted casually and soon arrived at the Adventurers Guild. They did not do their business at the counter in the main hall. Instead, Wu Liang led Mo Xiaobai through a side door and arrived in front of an office. Wu Liang knocked on the office door, and a voice that Mo Xiaobai was familiar with came from inside. "Come in." Wu Liang opened the door and walked in. Mo Xiaobai, Lin Xian, and Sun Wenshan followed behind him. Inside the office, Bu Bai, who had gray spiky hair and a sturdy body, was sitting on a chair. When he saw Wu Liang enter, he stood up and smiled. "Yo, Brother Wu, why are you here?" Then, as if he thought of something, he paused and continued, "Are you here to ask about the mission?" Wu Liang grinned and said, "This time, I'm not here to ask about the mission. I'm here to submit the mission." "Submit the mission?" Bu Bai was stunned. Then he asked in surprise, "Someone completed the mission? Why didn't I receive any news?" "Yes, someone did complete it. The murderer was a shadow demon hound." Wu Liang pointed at Mo Xiaobai behind him. He was the one who killed the shadow demon hound. Bu Bai turned to look behind Wu Liang. When he saw Mo Xiaobai, his eyes widened and he was stunned. Mo Xiaobai didn't expect Bu Bai to be here. However, after thinking about it, Bu Bai was the manager of the Adventurers Guild. It was reasonable for Wu Liang to come to him to submit the mission. He laughed dryly and nodded to Bu Bai. "Manager Bu, long time no see." Bu Bai came back to his senses and exclaimed, "Xiaobai, why is it you?" Wu Liang, Lin Xian, and Sun Wenshan were stunned by their reactions. Wu Liang looked at Bu Bai and then at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. "You guys know each other?" Bu Bai rolled his eyes and said, "Mo Xiaobai is Captain Mo's son." "Captain Mo?" Wu Liang was stunned. Then he thought of something and revealed a look of realization. "Captain Mo's son?" "Yes." Bu Bai nodded. Wu Liang looked at Mo Xiaobai again and patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. He grinned. "I didn't expect you to be Captain Mo's son. You've really surpassed your father. Your future achievements will definitely surpass your father's." Although Wu Liang and the other two had praised Mo Xiaobai many times in the car, Mo Xiaobai was still a little embarrassed. He laughed dryly and said, "Captain Wu, you're too kind." Bu Bai looked at Mo Xiaobai and said in shock, "You're saying that the shadow demon hound was killed by Xiaobai?" Wu Liang nodded and signaled to Lin Xian, who was secretly looking at Mo Xiaobai. Lin Xian took out the shadow demon hound's corpse. "Hiss!" Bu Bai looked at the shadow demon hound's corpse, and his pupils contracted. He looked at the shadow demon hound, and then looked at Mo Xiaobai. His eyes were full of shock. He knew that the last time Mo Xiaobai came to the Adventurers Guild was only half a month ago. At that time, Mo Xiaobai had just become a martial fundamentalist and came to register as an adventurer. He didn't expect that in just half a month, Mo Xiaobai could already kill the Shadow Demon Hound. Wasn't this speed of improvement a little too exaggerated? While Bu Bai was still in shock, Wu Liang smiled and said, "Okay, Brother Bu, the mission is complete. Let's submit the mission to Xiaobai." Bu Bai came back to his senses and nodded. Okay." Then he smiled at Mo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, give me your adventure badge." Mo Xiaobai took out his badge and handed it to Bu Bai. Bu Bai walked over to a device similar to the one Mo Xiaobai saw at the counter last time. As he operated it, he said, "This mission is a bronze mission. Xiaobai, you can choose to earn 20 Iron Adventurer points or consider it as completing a bronze mission. When you want to become a bronze adventurer, you only need to complete 2 more bronze missions." Bronze mission? Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He didn't expect the mission to be so high level. He thought for a moment and said, "Give me 20 points then." He wasn't at the time to become a bronze adventurer yet. When he became a bronze adventurer, he would be much stronger than he was now, and completing bronze missions wouldn't be too difficult. Bu Bai nodded and operated the device. After a beep, Mo Xiaobai's points became 22. Bu Bai looked at Mo Xiaobai's mission record and looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. This guy actually obtained 2 elite-grade materials before this. Were the youngsters these days so terrifying? He sighed in his heart and said with a smile, "Okay, Brother Wu, just take out the reward." Wu Yang nodded and looked at Mo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, what kind of origin crystal do you want?" Chapter 35. While Wu Yang was speaking, Bu Bai was already operating the device. After a few taps, rows of origin skill crystals appeared on the screen. Bu Bai grinned. Come take a look. These are the elite origin skill crystals of our Pingxi Town Adventurers Guild." Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up as he walked over to take a look at the screen. There were many types of origin skill crystals inside, including attack types, defense types, speed types, body tempering types, and even a few special innate origin skill crystals. However, innate origin skill crystals required a corresponding innate talent to be used. Mo Xiaobai had Titan Spirit Strength, but he didn't have an origin skill crystal. He began to think. His current offensive ability was the rare origin skill Triple Slash, which was already powerful enough. However, Triple Slash consumed a lot of energy. Even though he was already at 1 aperture level 4, he could only use it about 10 times. If he had an origin skill crystal that consumed less energy, it would naturally be better. However, this wasn't necessary. He was still lacking in other areas. Mo Xiaobai planned to choose a speed-type origin skill crystal. He set his gaze on the origin skill crystal. Swift movement, an elite speed origin skill. When it was perfected, it could increase one's speed by about 20%. Moreover, as long as one had enough origin power, they could be used continuously. This was very effective in both running and fighting. After making his decision, Mo Xiaobai pointed at the swift movement origin skill crystal and smiled. "I'll choose this one." Everyone glanced at the origin skill crystal Mo Xiaobai had chosen. Bu Bai grinned. "Not bad. Swift movement has a wide range of uses. It's very useful for the current you." Wu Yang nodded. "Yes, this origin skill is quite good." Bu Bai smiled. "I just happen to have one left in stock. I'll go get it." As he spoke, Bu Bai left the room. Very quickly, he returned with a green rhombus-shaped crystal in his hand. It really was a swift movement origin skill crystal. "Here." Mo Xiaobai took the origin skill crystal from Bu Bai and pressed it against his forehead. His head swelled as streams of knowledge regarding Fleetfoot flowed into his mind. A moment later, he slowly opened his eyes and exhaled. "How is it?" Bu Bai looked at Mo Xiaobai and grinned. A trace of excitement flashed through Mo Xiaobai's eyes as he nodded. "Yes, that's a pretty good origin skill. With his swift movement origin skill, he could attack or retreat. His combat strength had increased by a large margin." Wu Yang produced another pile of origin crystals and said with a smile, "Here are 500 origin crystals." Mo Xiaobai kept it. "Thank you, Captain Wu." Wu Yang laughed out loud. "I should be the one thanking you. Otherwise, Who knows how many more people would have died in the hands of this beast? He glanced at the shadow demon hound on the ground. Mo Xiaobai laughed. I wouldn't dare. Then I'll go back first. If I don't go back this late, my parents must be worried about me. Upon hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Wu Yang nodded. Then I'll get Shan to send you off. Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up as he nodded. All right, then I'll have to trouble Brother Shan. It was naturally good to have a free ride. Sun Shan grinned and flicked his long hair. It's no trouble at all. Let's go. The two of them left the office. Bu Bai and Wu Yang watched Mo Xiaobai's departing figure. After a moment of silence, Wu Yang asked, Brother Bu, you've known Mo Xiaobai for a long time. What do you think of him? Bu Bai was silent for a moment. His eyes flashed. Then he slowly said, I'm afraid that Pingxi Town will have a young dragon in this year's college entrance exam. Wu Yang and Lin Xianxian, who was listening quietly at the side, were stunned. Both of them widened their eyes in shock. Wu Yang said in disbelief, He's that strong? Bu Bai saw their shocked expressions and smiled. Do you know what his cultivation level was when I saw him half a month ago? What cultivation level? A new martial body fundamentalist. Level 1 with 1 aperture. Gasp. Wu Yang and Lin Xianxian gasped. Wu Yang was in disbelief. He's already at level 4 with 1 aperture. In just half a month, he advanced by 3 levels? That's ridiculous. Bu Bai smiled and said, That's why they say he's a young dragon. There's still half a month left. I think this kid will probably reach level 5 with 1 aperture. Wu Yang and Lin Xianxian's eyes flashed, and they fell silent. Lin Xianxian said excitedly, I didn't expect Xiao Bai to be so strong. Pingxi Town is going to be famous this time. Wu Yang and Bu Bai both nodded. Wu Yang nodded. Yes, that's not all. I'm afraid next year's allocation of education resources will also increase by a lot. Bu Bai sighed with envy. I'm so envious of old Mo for having such an outstanding son. This is fortune. Don't think about it, Brother Bu. You're still single at this age. Why are you thinking about this? You should think about how to find a wife. Bu Bai was furious. Are you itching for a beating? Sun Wenshan drove Mo Xiaobai to a place not far from the entrance of Ana District. Mo Xiaobai said, Brother Wenshan, I'm here. Let's stop here. Sun Wenshan stopped the car. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, Thank you, Brother Wenshan. Sun Wenshan flicked his hair and smiled. You're welcome. I was just about to pick up Kai Yan. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. He suddenly felt that Sun Wenshan's smile was a little flirtatious. He revealed an awkward but polite smile and waved at him. He then turned and ran towards the entrance of the district. The street lights at the entrance of the district were very bright. Mo Xiaobai saw 4 figures standing at the entrance as soon as he ran over. 3 adults and 1 child. When he got closer, Mo Xiaobai saw Mo Yu and Mu Yuju's cold faces. There was also a faint gray light floating around their bodies. His heart skipped a beat and his scalp went numb. I'm done for. Is there danger? I won't be beaten up, right? He hesitated. He didn't know if he should run away now. When Mo Xiaobai saw Mo Yu and Mu Yuju, they naturally saw Mo Xiaobai as well. Mo Yu said coldly, Mo Xiaobai, you also know to come back. Mo Xiaobai's hair stood on end. He felt that Mo Yu was even scarier than the shadow demon hound. He slowly walked over and saw their cold faces. He turned to look at Ning Ran and Ning Feng, wanting to ask for help. However, Ning Feng was expressionless. He didn't have his usual smile. There was even a faint gray light floating around his body. He silently looked at Ning Ran. Ning Ran had a white light, but when he saw Mo Xiaobai looking over, he shrunk his neck and looked away. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. TSK, this disloyal guy. When I Mo Xiaobai escape this, I'll definitely double this guy's training. No, double. At this moment, Ning Feng frowned and said, Xiaobai, why are you back so late? Your parents are worried sick about you. They searched all the streets from the neighborhood to the school. Mo Xiaobai looked at Mo Yu and Mu Yuju's cold faces and felt warmth in his heart. He laughed dryly and said, I was just delayed outside. Before he could finish, Mu Yuju pinched his ear and said, Go back to where you came from. Mo Xiaobai grimaced. Mom, it hurts. My ear is going to fall off. He was led in the direction of home. Mo looked at Mo Xiaobai and sighed in relief. Then, she smiled apologetically at Ning Feng. Brother Ning Feng, sorry to trouble you to wait with us. Ning Feng grinned. It's okay. Xiaobai's been teaching Xiao Ran body tempering recently. I haven't had the chance to thank him. Mo laughed. Then, she looked at Ning Feng and was a little surprised. Brother Ning Feng, it seems like you're going to break through to the third aperture. Congratulations. Ning Feng laughed even more happily. Ha ha ha. You've been stuck for almost 10 years, haven't you? After such a long time, you'll definitely break through. Mo smiled and nodded. Then, he patted Ning Feng's shoulder. Remember to treat us after you break through. No problem. Mo grinned. Okay, I should go back and teach that kid a lesson. It's so dangerous at night, and he dares to wander around outside. I'm afraid I'll beat him to death today. Ning Feng laughed dryly. Go easy on him. Ning Ran shrunk his neck and did not dare to speak. P.S. Thank you Chun Chensi, Mian_Yang, Feiyue, and Ma Xin, and Moon Mortal for your tips. Thank you. Chapter 36. When they got home, Mu Yuzhu let go of Mo Xiaobai's ear. Mo Xiaobai rubbed his ear and kept sucking in cold air. His ear was burning, and it hurt so much that tears were about to come out of his eyes. He was about to speak when Mu Yuzhu's eyes reddened. She hugged him and said in a trembling voice, You little brat, you worried me to death. Mo Xiaobai's body stiffened and he felt his eyes sting. He said apologetically, Sorry, Mom, I made you worry. Mu Yuzhu let go of Mo Xiaobai and looked at Mo Xiaobai. Seeing that he was fine, she heaved a sigh of relief and said, It's good that you're fine. Mo Xiaobai scratched his head. What could have happened to me? Mom, don't worry. At this moment, Mo Yu walked into the house and closed the door. She looked coldly at Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai, do you know how dangerous it is at night? What would you do if you met the culprit? Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai laughed dryly and said, That? I've already killed that murderer. Hearing this, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu held their breaths as they looked at Mo Xiaobai in confusion. Mu Yuzhu said, You're saying you met the culprit? Mo Xiaobai nodded. Yeah, I came back so late because I met the culprit. It was a shadow demon hound. It wanted to sneak up on me, but I killed it. Mu Yu, when they heard that Mo Xiaobai had encountered a shadow demon hound, both of them sucked in a breath of cold air and widened their eyes. The two of them looked at each other, and their faces were filled with shock and fear. That was a shadow demon hound. It was already fortunate that Mo Xiaobai was still alive. What more that he had managed to kill him? Mo Yu looked at Mo Xiaobai and said in disbelief, You actually killed a shadow demon hound? Mo Xiaobai nodded. That's right. Oh, right. He thought of something and took out the devil hound's spine, a pay, and a pair of devil hound's claws. He said happily, That guy also got a rare grade heavenly forged a pay and a pair of elite grade devil hound's claws. The two of them looked at the devil hound's spine in Mo Xiaobai's hands and the devil hound's claws that were flashing with green light. Their minds were filled with question marks. The corner of Mo Yu's mouth twitched. A tier 1 heavenly forged weapon. Everyone was dumbfounded. Although he already knew that Mo Xiaobai's luck was unbelievably good when he followed Mo Xiaobai to the Greystone Hills. Wasn't this still a little too much? He had only opened the first aperture, and he had obtained such a good weapon. A tier 1 heavenly forged weapon. It should be very rare in the entire empire, right? Mu Yuzhu also looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. She rubbed her forehead. We were worried about you, but you brat, you actually killed the culprit without a sound. At this moment, Mo Yu thought of something and asked, That's right, you said that the shadow demon hound was the culprit? Mo Xiaobai nodded. Yes, I also ran into people from Azure Edge and followed them to the Adventurers Guild to get my reward. Mo Xiaobai roughly explained what had happened. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu listened quietly, nodding from time to time. When they heard that Mo Xiaobai had chosen a speed-type Fleetfoot origin skill as his reward, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu both expressed their approval. Mu Yuzhu smiled and said, Fleetfoot is a pretty good origin skill. I have it too. Mo Xiaobai was somewhat surprised. He didn't think that his mother would have this skill as well. Very quickly, Mo Xiaobai recounted everything that had happened. Mo Yu and Mu Yuju's feelings were quite complicated. After a moment of silence, Mu Yuju smiled and said, "Looks like you've really grown up." Mo Yu nodded. After seeing Mo Xiaobai's performance at the Greystone Hills, he felt that perhaps he didn't need to worry about Mo Xiaobai anymore. This time, he was even more shocked. Mo Xiaobai smiled slightly and said, "You don't need to worry. I can understand myself." Mo Yu and Mu Yuju glanced at each other. Then, Mu Yuju smiled and rubbed Mo Xiaobai's hair. She said, "Go take a shower. I'll go heat up the food and get ready to eat." Okay. Mo Xiaobai didn't dare to resist. He allowed Mu Yuju to rub his hair until it was a mess. After responding, he went to take a shower. Seeing Mo Xiaobai's departing figure, Mo Yu and Mu Yuju glanced at each other. Mo Yu grinned and said somewhat excitedly, "He can even kill a rank 1 shadow demon hound. As expected of my son." Mu Yuju nodded. "That kid is already rank 4. It looks like he has a high chance of reaching rank 5 before the college entrance exam. When the time comes, as long as he passes the elementary cries trial, he'll be able to enter the big 3, right?" Mo Yu and Mu Yuju were both proud. After eating dinner, Mo Xiaobai returned to his room. He was so excited that he couldn't sleep. Today's harvest was too great. A rank 1 rare, heavenly forged heavy sword, and an elite fleet-foot origin skill. This should increase his combat strength by 60 to 70%, right? It might even be more than that. Mo Xiaobai lay on his bed for a long time before calming down and falling asleep. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai finished cultivating and left his room. Mo Yu was sitting on the sofa, reading the newspaper with a smile on his face. Mo Xiaobai asked with some confusion, "What's wrong?" Mo Yu chuckled. "Look." He pointed at the news on the front page. The title was, "The Serial Killer Has Been Executed." Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. "So it's this." He looked at the newspaper. It said that a warm-hearted citizen had encountered a shadow demon hound that was about to commit evil and had killed it. Mo Xiaobai's name wasn't mentioned, but Mo Xiaobai didn't care. He wasn't the kind of person who liked to be in the limelight anyway. Moreover, this involved demons, so it was better not to be in the limelight. Mo Yu and Mu Yuju obviously thought the same. They were very satisfied that Azure Edge didn't announce Mo Xiaobai's name. Thus, the two of them were in a good mood and were full of smiles when it was time to eat. Mo Xiaobai finished his breakfast and went out. In the security room, Mo Xiaobai noticed that Ning Feng was looking at the street tiredly. He asked curiously, "Uncle Ning, what's wrong?" Ning Feng heard Mo Xiaobai's voice and was stunned. He turned around and smiled when he saw Mo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, it's nothing. I've been preparing for a breakthrough." Mo Xiaobai was enlightened. He smiled and said, "Uncle Ning, you're going to break through to the 3rd chakra? Congratulations, Uncle Ning." Ning Feng laughed. "I'll congratulate you after you break through. Are you going to school? Be careful." As he spoke, he opened the door and let Mo Xiaobai out. Mo Xiaobai returned to school and saw that the students were all smiling. They weren't as depressed as before. Obviously, they also knew that the murderer had been executed. He even heard some people discussing who the enthusiastic citizen was. When Mo Xiaobai returned to class, he realized that his classmates were also discussing it. As soon as he returned to his seat, Zheng Dong came over with an excited expression. "Xiaobai, have you heard about it? The killer is a shadow demon hound. It's a real devil. I didn't expect a devil to appear in Pingxi town." Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes, I've heard." Zheng Dong was curious. "I wonder who the enthusiastic citizen is. He could actually kill a shadow demon hound. I heard that a rank 1 shadow demon hound is extremely powerful. That enthusiastic citizen must be a powerhouse too, right?" Mo Xiaobai smiled. "I think so. Maybe he's very young and handsome." Zheng Dong retorted. "I think it must be a devastatingly beautiful woman with unparalleled strength. She passed by Pingxi town and saw this shadow demon hound. That's why she attacked in anger and killed it." Mo Xiaobai was speechless. The smile on his face froze. Looking at Zheng Dong, who had fallen into a strange fantasy, he wanted to take out the demon hound's spine and cut him in half. Chapter 37. Time passed. It was the evening before the college entrance exam. The sun was halfway down the horizon. Under the dim sunlight, the training ground in Anha district was covered in the shadows of trees and buildings. Ning Ran was lying on the limestone ground, panting. His sweat soaked the ground. His young face was scrunched up, and he looked like he was about to cry. Bro Xiaobai, let's call it a day. I really can't take it anymore. Mo Xiaobai stood at the side with his arms crossed. He nodded slightly. Let's call it a day then. Mo Xiaobai had entered a stable rhythm in the past 2 weeks. He would wake up in the morning to cultivate. After that, he would go to class. After class, he would go straight home. Although the culprit had been killed, Ning Ran still came to find Ning Feng frequently. Mo Xiaobai also continued to teach him physique tempering. Last time, Ning Ran did not speak up for him. Mo Xiaobai did not let him go. He doubled his weight during physique tempering, making Ning Ran cry for his parents. Mo Xiaobai was very happy. Of course, under Mo Xiaobai's pressure, Ning Ran had improved a lot. Even Ning Feng had been thanking him. When Ning Ran heard Mo Xiaobai agree, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He supported his body with his hands and sat up. He looked at Mo Xiaobai. Bro Xiaobai, the college entrance exam is tomorrow, right? Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He nodded. Yes. With Bro Xiaobai's ability, you can definitely get into the big 3. Ning Ran looked at Mo Xiaobai with admiration. Mo Xiaobai smiled. Kid, it's not that simple. 2 days ago, he had broken through to level 5-1 aperture. His results in the college entrance exam would not be bad. However, after reaching level 5-1 aperture, it was not guaranteed that he could enter the big 3. If he wanted to enter the big 3, he had to participate in the Chuming trial. Only the top 3,000 could enter the big 3. That was because each school only had 1,000 freshman spots. Any graduate who reached level 5-1 aperture was a genius. The competition for these 3,000 spots would be very intense. Even Mo Xiaobai felt a lot of pressure. Ning Ran's face was resolute. I think Big Bro Xiaobai will definitely be fine. As he spoke, he thought of something and said, "Oh right, this is for you." He took out a jade pendant from his interspatial ring and handed it to Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai took the jade pendant doubtfully and looked at it. The jade pendant was green in color, and there was a beautiful bird engraved on it. What is this? Ning Ran scratched his head and grinned. This is the blue bird jade pendant. I went to the temple 2 days ago to ask for it for you. It is said that if you wear it, your dreams will come true. Unfortunately, I don't have much pocket money. Otherwise, I could ask for a better one. Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai's heart warmed. He reached out and rubbed Ning Ran's head. He smiled and said, "This is already very good. I like it very much. Thank you, little Ran." Hearing that Mo Xiaobai liked it, Ning Ran's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "Then Big Bro Xiaobai, you have to work hard. We promise that after I get into the big 3, I will need your protection." Mo Xiaobai smiled. "No problem." At this moment, Ning Feng's voice came from afar. "Little Ran, let's go back." "Coming," Ning Ran replied, then waved at Mo Xiaobai with a smile. "Big Bro Xiaobai, I'll go back first." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Be careful on the road." "Got it." Ning Ran got up and ran towards Ning Feng. Under the gradually darkening night, Ning Feng rubbed Ning Ran's head. "Kid, you've been working hard recently. Are you tired? It's okay. I promised Big Bro Xiaobai that I would get into the big 3. Ha ha. Then you have to work hard. Dad will go back and make your favorite braised beef. Wow, it's true. Dad is the best." The two of them held hands and disappeared into the dark blue night. Mo Xiaobai smiled and shook his head. He looked at the jade pendant and put it into his spatial ring. After that, Mo Xiaobai returned home. The college entrance exam was tomorrow. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu didn't say much to Xiaobai to prevent him from feeling pressured. Mo Xiaobai didn't feel much pressure. He had already given his all, and his cultivation had already reached level 5 of 1 aperture. He was very confident now. After dinner and playing with Little Red, Mo Xiaobai went back to his room to rest. It was a quiet night. The next morning, when the sun shone into Mo Xiaobai's room, Mo Xiaobai opened his eyes. He sat up and looked out the window. The sky was clear and blue like crystal. The weather was good. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. After stretching his body, he began his daily cultivation. After an hour, Mo Xiaobai finished his cultivation and walked out of his room. When he came to the living room, he found it quiet. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were frowning and looking at the newspaper in Mo Yu's hand. Mo Xiaobai looked at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu in confusion. What's wrong? Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu's bodies shook when they heard Mo Xiaobai's voice, and they recovered from their shock. They looked at each other with complicated expressions. Then, Mo Yu passed the newspaper to Mo Xiaobai. Take a look. Mo Xiaobai took the newspaper in confusion. What's wrong? As he muttered, he lowered his head to read the newspaper. However, when Mo Xiaobai saw Ning Ran's tightly shut eyes and pale face on the front page of the newspaper, he was stunned. Murder case reappears. Another victim appears. Boom! Mo Xiaobai's mind went blank. How is this possible? Mo Xiaobai had a glimmer of hope. He lowered his head and quickly read the content of the report. Tung Yun District, last night, Ning Ran. Looking at the shocking words, Mo Xiaobai's eyes became blurry. The veins on his hands were bulging, and the newspaper in his hands trembled. There's no one at home. Wow. Xiaobai bro, you're so awesome. I have to work harder and get into the big three. My dad will be very happy then. With Xiaobai bro's ability, you can definitely get into the big three. I think Xiaobai bro will have no problem. This is the Green Bird Jade Pendant. I went to the temple 2 days ago to ask for it. It's said that if you wear it, your dreams will come true. It's a pity that I only have this much pocket money. Otherwise, I could ask for something better. We promise that after I get into the big three, I'll need you to protect me. Ning Ran's image appeared in his mind. Mo Xiaobai's eyes became blurry. His throat was itchy and his chest was heavy. Wasn't the shadow demon hound dead? Why was there still a murder case? Why did it have to be Xiao Ran? Mo Xiaobai felt his stomach twitch. It was as if his organs were being dug out. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Mo Yu went forward and patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. Mu Yuzhu hugged Mo Xiaobai. The atmosphere was silent. Mo Xiaobai slowly opened his eyes and said, Can we go and see Xiao Ran now? Mo Yu shook his head. Not now. The people from Azure Edge have already taken over. He was silent for a while and said, Let's send him off in a few days. Mu Yuzhu nodded. Your dad is right. Today is the college entrance exam. Don't let it affect you. Mo Xiaobai was silent for a long time. Then he nodded. His eyes flashed with determination. Okay, let's go. He had to get into the big three. Although Xiao Ran was no longer here, he didn't want to go against his last promise. P.S. Thank you Fei Yue and Ma Xin, Xiao Xiangli, Pei Pei for not being home today. Love, yeah, for bringing your wife online. Thank you, big brother. Chapter 38. The process of the college entrance exam was not complicated. The morning was the cultural exam, and the afternoon was the cultivation test. After passing both the cultural exam and the test, one could go to most of the force academies. However, the top 100 academies were different. After passing both the cultivation test and the cultural exam, one still needed to participate in a trial organized by the school. Only by passing the trial could one be considered to have entered the school. The first prize trial was the most famous trial. Mo Xiaobai's cultural exam venue was at Moonlight Middle School. Soon, Mo Yu, Mu Yuzhu, and Mo Xiaobai arrived at the school gate. There was a sea of people at the school gate. On such an important day, many parents chose to accompany the candidates. Many parents were encouraging their children, hoping that they could get good grades. Mo Yu patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder and said softly, Don't think too much. Finish the exam first. I'm sure little Ran doesn't want you to fail because of her. Mo Xiaobai nodded slightly. Don't worry, Dad. I know what I'm doing. On the way, Mo Xiaobai's mood was much calmer than before, and he thought a lot. Little Ran's death was the same as the previous victim. If he didn't know that the murderer of the previous murder was a shadow demon hound, a demon, Mo Xiao Bai might not have thought too much about it. But now, after the first shadow demon hound died, another one appeared. The appearance of two evil demons was too abnormal. There was probably someone else behind the scenes. Another demon? Or someone from the Void God cult? Or was it another Cthulhuism sect? Mo Xiao Bai wasn't sure, but he would do his best to find the murderer and avenge Little Ran. He didn't think too much about it. He smiled at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu, telling them not to worry, and then entered the school. Mo Xiao Bai had already familiarized himself with the exam venue a few days ago. It was the second grade building. Mo Xiao Bai quickly arrived in front of the exam venue. There were two staff members in white uniforms at the entrance. Mo Xiao Bai walked over and handed his exam ticket to them. After they checked that there were no mistakes, he entered the exam venue. Mo Xiao Bai's cultural exam results were quite good. Although the exam was a bit difficult, it was still acceptable for Mo Xiao Bai. He answered the questions smoothly, and the morning passed quickly in the exam. As soon as the last exam ended and the invigilator left, the examination hall became chaotic. Some were happy, some were sad. Mo Xiao Bai heard the sobbing of a delicate-looking rabbit girl beside him. She was sobbing so hard that her heart was broken. Obviously, his results were not ideal. He got up and left the examination hall. Along the way, he heard many examinees discussing the exam questions in 2s and 3s. You have to choose the first choice. If not, I'll eat noodles with my nose. It's the super spicy kind. Then you're definitely eating your noodles. I'll mix the chili sauce for you. I'll mix it. That's the second choice. Have you guys solved the mechanical power theory question on the basis of origin force machinery? I can't even King understand. Did you understand? I did it. It's that simple. Bastard. Go to hell. Mo Xiao Bai was walking when Meng Yu came out from behind him. He smiled and said, Xiao Bai, how was the exam? It was okay. Meng Yu looked at Mo Xiao Bai in confusion. Why do I feel like you don't look so good? Mo Xiao Bai paused. He then smiled and said, It's nothing. Meng Yu didn't mind. He said proudly, I finally became a martial fundamentalist 2 days ago. I'll definitely be in the top 100. I plan to go Moon Creek Academy. It's close to home. Meng Yu also plans to go there. Xiao Bai, what about you? Do you want to come with us? Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, Me? I'm going to go to Akatsuki Academy. Meng Yu's body trembled as he stood rooted to the ground, watching Mo Xiao Bai leave with a dumbfounded expression. Akatsuki Force Academy in the Beijing region, one of the 3 famous schools. Mo Xiao Bai was going to go to Akatsuki Academy. Outside the school gate, parents were eagerly waiting for their children to come out. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were among them. When they saw Mo Xiao Bai come out, their eyes lit up and they went up to him. Mo Yu asked, How was it? Mo Xiao Bai nodded, Not bad. Mu Yuzhu was relieved. She smiled and said, Let's go get something to eat first. We'll go to the central training ground in the afternoon. Okay. Mu Yuzhu didn't go back to cook. The 3 of them found a restaurant to eat and then went to the central training ground. The central training ground was very close to the Adventurers Guild. It was a huge training ground. There were even gambling and beast-fighting arenas inside. It was said that it could accommodate close to 500,000 people. All the examinees in Pingxi Town were tested for their force cultivation here. When Mo Xiao Bai, Mo Yu, and Mu Yuzhu arrived, there were already many people there. Not only were there examinees and their parents, but there were also many onlookers, and even the media. After all, the annual college entrance exam was a hot topic. There was a team of staff from the Ministry of Education guarding the entrance of the training ground. There were even Azure Edge guards in their blue and white uniforms. Mo Xiao Bai saw Wu Liang and the others. They looked a little tired, probably because of another murder case. Wu Liang and the others also saw Mo Xiao Bai. Their eyes lit up. Lin Xianxian even waved at Mo Xiao Bai. Mo Xiao Bai nodded at the few of them. Mo Yu said, Let's go in. Mo Xiao Bai nodded and passed his admission ticket to the staff to check. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he entered the training ground. The training ground was an extremely spacious hall. There were already many examinees inside. As soon as Mo Xiao Bai entered, the staff standing at the entrance walked over. "Hello, student. Let me see your admission ticket." Mo Xiaobai was stunned, then handed his admission ticket over. He glanced at the admission ticket and returned it to Mo Xiaobai. At the same time, he smiled and said, "Mo Xiaobai, your assessment area is in District 1 East. The assessment will start at 1:30 p.m. according to your admission ticket number. You can wait in District 1 East." He pointed to an area with rows of seats in the distance. There were already a few students sitting there. Mo Xiaobai nodded and smiled. "Thank you, teacher." He took the admission ticket and went to District 1 East. He found a random seat and sat down. As soon as he sat down, he saw a familiar person not far away. It was a handsome night creature youth. He sat there with a few people who seemed to be his friends sitting around him and chatting. He raised his head slightly and nodded from time to time. Then, he seemed to sense something and turned his head to look in Mo Xiaobai's direction. After glancing at Mo Xiaobai, he turned his head away as if he did not care about Mo Xiaobai at all. It was him. His name was Li Yushu. His eyes were still on top of his head. Mo Xiaobai did not expect him to be in District 1 East. However, the encounter this time, Mo Xiaobai's mentality was already completely different. He also looked away and no longer paid attention to this night creature youth. Chapter 39. The waiting time was long and torturous. One by one, the examinees entered the training field. The environment became a little noisy. Mo Xiaobai only had a few students from the same school in East 1, but he didn't know any of them. He could only sit quietly by himself and wait for the examination to begin. When it was 1:20 p.m., a few people went up to the stage at the innermost part of the hall. Mo Xiaobai took a glance and realized that the mayor of Pingxi Town, the head of the Ministry of Education, the vice head of the Ministry of Education, and a few other officials from Pingxi Town were among them. He even saw Bu Bai, whom he recognized. Behind them were the principals of various secondary schools, including the principal of Moonlight Secondary School. He was a chubby old elf with a beer belly and white hair. He always had a kind smile on his face. The senior management of Pingxi Town came to the stage and sat on the chairs that were set up beforehand. His gaze swept across the many examinees below the stage as he spoke softly. At the front of the waiting area, a staff member moved a black metal table over. There was a transparent crystal pillar on top of the metal table. Mo Xiaobai looked at the other areas. It wasn't just an East 1. It was the same in front of every waiting area. Obviously, this transparent crystal pillar was the tool they used to examine the examinees' cultivation. After the metal table and the transparent crystal pillar were set up, two staff members from the Ministry of Education stood behind the crystal pillar. In East 1, there was a tall elf lady with short black hair and a sturdy barbarian man. The two of them stood behind the table and waited. Their gazes swept across the examinees in the waiting area from time to time. Soon, it was 1:30 p.m. On the stage, the head of the Ministry of Education stood up. He was a middle-aged human man with a pair of rimless glasses and a head of neatly combed black hair. He looked gentle and refined. He cleared his throat and said, "The examination begins." Although the head of the Ministry of Education's voice wasn't loud, it clearly traveled into everyone's ears. Upon hearing the head of the Ministry of Education's words, the staff members of the Ministry of Education immediately busied themselves. Mo Xiaobai heard the barbarian man behind the transparent crystal pillar start to read out the examination ticket number. 1128172221. Student Wei Jun, come up for the examination. When an examinee with a face full of freckles heard this, he hurriedly stood up from his chair and walked over to the long table with a nervous expression. Place your hand on the test column. Under the barbarian's guidance, Wei Jun placed his hand on the transparent crystal pillar. Because he was too nervous, his hand trembled slightly. Suddenly, the crystal pillar emitted a gentle white light that slowly rose from the bottom. After a while, the crystal pillar stopped changing, and the white light filled up about 2/3 of the crystal pillar. The barbarian man glanced at him and said, "Seventh layer of body, refining tier." The black-haired female elf lowered her head and recorded it down. The barbarian man smiled and said, "It's done. Go back to your seat and wait." Wei Jun nodded and trotted back to his seat with his head lowered. The The barbarian continued to call the next examinee onto the stage. The process was simple. Mo Xiaobai looked at it briefly, then lowered his head to look at his admission ticket number. 112817568. He grinned. There were still more than 300 people left. At this rate, he would have to wait for 3 to 4 hours. The examination proceeded in an orderly manner. On the high platform, the Pingxi town mayor, who had a head of short brown hair, a high hairline, and a slightly thin face, looked at the examination that was proceeding in an orderly manner. He squinted his eyes and smiled. "I wonder how Pingxi Town's results are this time." The head of education said in a serious manner, "In recent years, we have increased the investment of resources in education. Our results have been improving every year, and we can be considered to have seen some initial results. I believe this time will be no exception." The Pingxi Town mayor laughed. "Old Liu, the head of education, has also worked hard in recent years." Head Liu shook his head slightly. "This is the responsibility of the head of education." On the side, the vice head of education, a middle-aged night creature woman with wrinkles on her face and sharp eyes, swept her gaze across the audience. "I hope this time we can rank in the top 1,000 in the town-level cities." The Pingxi town mayor nodded. "If that's the case, the resources distributed by the higher-ups will be even more next year." Time passed by. More than an hour later, in District 1 East, Mo Xiaobai was quietly waiting for the examination to proceed. More than 100 people had already been examined. Among them, most of them were examinees in the body refinement realm. Only a mermaid girl from Yuxing High School was a level 1 martial body fundamentalist. When this girl's examination results came out, it caused a commotion in District 1 East. In Pingxi Town, being able to break through to a martial body fundamentalist before the college entrance examinations was already considered quite a genius. At this moment, the barbarian man spoke again. 112817358. Student Li Yushu, come up for the examination. We heard the Yushu's name, Mo Xiaobai, who originally felt a little bored, looked over curiously. Li Yushu stood up from his seat and walked up to the examination pillar with his head held high. The barbarian man glanced at Li Yushu. Before he could speak, Li Yushu smiled proudly and said, "Just put your hand on it, right?" As he spoke, he reached out and placed his hand on the crystal pillar. In an instant, a dazzling white light flashed. The white light in the transparent crystal pillar instantly filled the entire pillar. Then the white light formed a white halo. Before the white light disappeared, a second white halo appeared very quickly. After a while, a third somewhat illusory white halo also condensed. The higher-ups sitting on the high platform were initially so bored that they were about to doze off. At this moment, they suddenly sat up straight and widened their eyes to look in the direction of District 1 East. The Pingxi town mayor said excitedly, "Li Yushu, is that the kid from the Li clan?" "I think so. Level 3-1 aperture. This kid is really something." Even the usually serious Liu clan head smiled and nodded in satisfaction. "Not bad indeed. With this cultivation base, as long as he passes the trial, he can enter a prestigious school rank between 30 and 50. I'm afraid our Pingxi town will really enter the top 1,000 this time." Many of the higher-ups smiled. "Oh right, Principal Yuan, this Li Yushu. He's a student from Shiyang High School, right?" The Pingxi town mayor thought of something and turned his head to look at a skinny old rabbit man with a goatee beside him. Principal Yuan reached out to stroke his goatee. His old face was slightly rosy, and there was a proud smile on his face. "He's indeed a student from our school." Liu clan head smiled. "Looks like Pingxi town's top scorer this time is Shiyang High School again. Principal Yuan, you've done well." "Ha ha, Principal Liu, you flatter me." Principal Yuan smiled until the wrinkles on his face were squeezed together. A middle-aged barbarian male principal forced a smile and said, "Looks like I'll have to congratulate you again this time, Principal Yuan." There was a hint of unwillingness in his voice. After all, being the top scorer was a merit of the school. As the principal, he would naturally reward him. This reward had been pocketed by this old man for 5 consecutive years. This year, it would probably be his again. Who would accept this? However, there were no level 3 candidates among their students. No matter how uncomfortable it was, they still had to accept it. Congratulations, congratulations. Remember to treat us to a meal? While many principals were congratulating Principal Yuan, the old elf from Moonlight High School was looking at Mo Xiaobai, who was also in East One. The smile on his face deepened. He glanced at the smiling Principal Yuan and didn't say anything. Among the higher-ups of Pingxi Town, the Adventurers Guild's manager Bu Bai and another middle-aged elf wearing a blue uniform with white stripes looked at Mo Xiaobai, who was sitting in East One, and then at the high-spirited Principal Yuan. A strange smile also appeared on their faces. It looked like this old man still didn't know that Moonlight High School had produced a freak. He really wanted to know how they would react when Mo Xiaobai, this brat, was tested. The two of them had some wicked thoughts. P.S. Thanks to Fei Yue and Ma Xin and Chun Chenxi for their tips. Thank you, boss. Chapter 40. The light from Li Yushu's examination attracted the attention of everyone in the hall. Not only the barbarian man, the elven woman, and the other examinees in the eastern area, but even the examinees and examiners from the other areas also cast their gazes over. This, when they saw the three white halos on Li Yushu's light beam, gasps could be heard. The air in the hall seemed to have become thinner. F*CK. He's a big shot. He's already at level 3 with one aperture. Is this what a genius is like? This is so unfair. I'm only at level 5 physique tempering. This is terrifying. Exclamations could be heard in the hall. Amidst the exclamations and praises, Li Yushu smirked and raised his head. He said proudly, "Is this good enough?" The barbarian and elf finally regained their senses. The barbarian smiled and said, "Student Li Yushu, right? Amazing. You should be able to get into a good school. It's done, you can go back and wait." Li Yushu nodded slightly and returned to his seat with his head held high and his chest puffed out. After Li Yushu's test, the hall became a little chaotic before the test continued. The examinees below the stage still looked at Li Yushu from time to time. Many girls' eyes flashed and their faces blushed. They lowered their heads and discussed something. Li Yushu's cultivation was too high. From the start of the test until now, there were only 3 body fundamentalists. The highest was level 1, not even a level 2. But Li Yushu was already level 3. How could they not be surprised? Time continued to pass. After close to 4 hours, most of the examinees in the hall had finished their tests. There were only about 10 examinees left in each area. At this moment, the barbarian looked at the name list in his hand and said, 1128175568, Mo Xiaobai. Come up for your test. Mo Xiaobai, whose name was called, was shocked and stood up from the chair. It was finally his turn. He took a deep breath and walked towards the stage. On the stage, the sleepy Bu Bai, the principal of Moonlight Middle School, and the leader of Azure Edge were all jolted awake when they heard Mo Xiaobai's name. They immediately sat up straight and looked towards East One. Pingxi Town's mayor, Manor Head Liu, and the others were a little puzzled when they saw how excited they were. The mayor of Pingxi Town smiled and said, "Supervisor Bu, Captain Wang, Principal Lin, what's the matter? Could it be that there was something special about this student called Mo Xiaobai? Why are the 3 of you so concerned?" The others also looked at them curiously. Principal Lin chuckled and said, "This student is the most talented in our school." Bu Bai glanced at the curious crowd with a mysterious smile on his face. "You'll find out soon enough." Beside him, Captain Wang only smiled. "I've only heard some rumors from Old Wu." Rumors? Upon hearing the trio's words, the Pingxi Town mayor and the others exchanged glances. They also looked towards East One curiously, wanting to see what kind of rumors could make Bu Bai and Captain Lin so excited. Mo Xiaobai came to the black table. The barbarian man smiled and said, "Student, place your hand on this pillar." Mo Xiaobai nodded and took a deep breath. Then he placed his hand on the crystal pillar. The surface of the crystal pillar was a little cold. The moment Mo Xiaobai touched it, a dazzling white light flashed. This light was even more dazzling than Li Yushu's light. Instantly, the candidates who had finished their tests and were feeling bored all looked over. On the stage, many of the higher-ups unconsciously sat up straight and looked at Mo Xiaobai. The white light instantly filled the transparent crystal pillar. Then, it shot up into the sky and formed a white light pillar. A white halo condensed and formed. Then, a second halo appeared. After a few breaths, the third halo condensed. After a few more breaths, the fourth halo condensed. Everyone looked at the four halos on the light pillar in disbelief. Their eyes widened and they stood rooted to the ground. However, the white light did not disappear. Everyone held their breaths and stared at the flashing light pillar as if they were waiting for something. Even the candidates and staff members who were in the middle of their test stopped and looked at Mo Xiaobai. Time seemed to have passed in an instant, but it also seemed like a long time had passed. At this moment, the white light flashed and the shadow of a white fledgling soared into the sky. The fledgling twisted its long body and its four claws stepped on the air as it swam around the hall. Then it raised its head and opened its mouth. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded. After the roar, the fledgling turned into a white light and disappeared from the hall. However, after the fledgling's shadow disappeared, the hall fell into an eerie silence. There was not a single sound in the hall. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone widened their eyes and stared in the direction where the fledgling's shadow disappeared. Their eyes were filled with shock and confusion. Mo Xiaobai looked at the crystal pillar that had returned to its transparent state and then looked in the direction where the fledgling's shadow disappeared. He was also a little surprised. He did not expect that after reaching level 5 with one aperture, there would be special effects. It was quite cool. Mo Xiaobai was somewhat satisfied. Then, he recalled Xiao Rant's words and his gaze calmed down. The first step had been taken for the 3 elite schools. Mo Xiaobai shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He turned to look at the stunned crowd and could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Was there a need to be so surprised? He coughed lightly. The dry cough in the silent hall brought everyone back to their senses. Everyone turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. After a moment of silence, the hall erupted in a deafening uproar. Wow! F***CK. The fledgling's shadow. The fledgling's first cry. I did not expect to be in the same examination hall as a genius of this level. When I'm old, I'll definitely tell my grandson. Pingxi Town actually produced a fledgling. Is this for real? This little brother is so handsome. On the high platform, many higher-ups were also staring at Mo Xiaobai with burning gazes. The mayor of Pingxi Town laughed loudly. Ha ha! Pingxi Town has struck gold this time. We actually produced a fledgling. Beside him, Prefecture Chief Lu's stern face could not help but reveal a pleasantly surprised smile. This time, we might be able to rank first in a town city. What honor! Bu Bai, who was standing at the side, slowly retracted his shocked expression and revealed a smile. This kid is really powerful. In just a month's time, Mo Xiaobai had advanced from a martial fundamentalist to level 5 with one aperture. One could imagine how brilliant he would be in the future. Captain Wang looked at Mo Xiaobai with disbelief on his face. When he heard Wu Yang talk about Mo Xiaobai, he was only half convinced. Now he finally saw Mo Xiaobai's talent with his own eyes. What a genius! He could not help but exclaim softly. The smile on Headmaster Lin's chubby face became even wider. He turned to look at Headmaster Yuan, whose eyes were wide open and a little dumbfounded, and said softly, Old Yuan, thank you for letting me win this time. Headmaster Yuan. He turned to look at Headmaster Lin, not knowing what expression to show. Chapter 41. Outside the training ground, the sun gradually set in the west, and the sunlight became gentle. For hours had already passed, and the test was about to end. Many of the examinees' parents were anxiously waiting for the test to end. Apart from them, the media reporters were also waiting. The cultivation test was the most important part of the college entrance exam. As the media, they naturally wanted to get the news as soon as possible. The number of adventurers watching the show had decreased by a lot. However, there were still many passers-by who looked at the training ground from time to time. At this moment, the crowd outside the training ground vaguely heard a long dragon's roar. Everyone was stunned. Did you guys hear that? Is it coming from the training ground? What's that sound? The crowd whispered to each other in confusion. A few of the media reporters looked at each other in bewilderment. This sound, why does it feel like? It shouldn't be. This isn't one of those big cities. A few of the media reporters conversed and shook their heads. Mou and Mu Yuju looked at each other with anticipation and nervousness in their eyes. Mou clenched her fists and said with excitement, "Is it Xiaobai?" Mu Yuju nodded. Her beautiful face was flushed with excitement. It should be, right? Outside the door, Wu Liang and the others who were in charge of guarding the training ground looked at each other. Lin Xianxian widened her eyes in disbelief. Could it be Mo Xiaobai? Has he really reached level 5? Wu Liang turned and looked at the door of the training ground. I'm afraid it's really him. TSK, doesn't that mean Mo Xiaobai has a chance to get into the big 3? Sun Wenshan pursed his lips and then laughed. He, a genius like him, even sat in my car before. That's our team's car. You're just a driver at most. Just as the crowd was discussing, noisy and excited screams suddenly rang out in the training ground. The screams seemed to be about to break through the ceiling of the training ground. The sound waves spread out from the training ground and drilled into everyone's ears. From the noisy screams, the crowd could vaguely hear the words about the shadow of a dragon fledgling. Combined with the roar from before, many people's bodies trembled, revealing a look of disbelief. A dragon fledgling appeared in Pingxi Town. All the reporters were breathing rapidly. They held their pens and notebooks tightly in their hands and looked at their peers vigilantly. This kind of explosive news must definitely be at the forefront. Mou and Mu Yuju looked at each other, their eyes filled with surprise. They were almost certain that it was Mo Xiaobai. In the training grounds, Mo Xiaobai was a little dizzy from the screams of the crowd. He looked warily at the girls who kept approaching him, as if they were going to pounce on him and eat him up. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, so exaggerated. At this moment, a dignified voice came from the high platform. All examinees, please maintain order. Continue the test. At the same time, a powerful aura gushed out from the high platform, causing the examinees to calm down. The male barbarian and female elf in charge of the examination were also trying their best to calm down. The corners of the barbarian man's mouth curled up as he looked at Mo Xiaobai. His voice trembled as he spoke. Level 5 with 1 aperture. Student Mo Xiaobai, congratulations. I hope you can pass the first cries trial. Mo Xiaobai nodded and said with a smile, I will pass. The female elf beside him looked at the determined and confident Mo Xiaobai. Her eyes were full of splendor. She only came back to her senses when the barbarian man coughed dryly and lowered her head to record. Mo Xiaobai finished recording and was about to return to his seat when Head Lu on the high platform said, Student Mo Xiaobai, come here. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He turned his head to look at the high platform and realized that all the higher-ups were looking at him. He hurriedly walked toward the high platform. After getting on the high platform, Bubai immediately went to Mo Xiaobai and patted him on the shoulder. He grinned. Xiaobai, not bad, not bad. You're really amazing. You actually broke through to level 5 with 1 aperture. You're really something. Mo Xiaobai almost fell to the ground from the slap. He twitched the corner of his mouth. Supervisor Bu's arm strength was still so strong. He smiled and said, Supervisor Bu, you're flattering me. At this moment, the Pingxi Town mayor affectionately held Mo Xiaobai's hand and said, No, no, no. Old Bu isn't flattering you. Pingxi Town hasn't produced a fledgling for over 100 years. Student Mo Xiaobai, your talent is indeed outstanding. Head Lu on the side also had a smile on his face. He nodded at Mo Xiaobai and said, A hero comes from a young age. Yes, a genius like Mo Xiaobai will be a pillar of the empire in the future. Each of the higher-ups smiled at Mo Xiaobai. After all, as long as he was a fledgling, he would definitely be able to enter the top 10 academies. If he passed the first cries trial, he would be able to enter the big 3. As long as he graduated, he would be even stronger than them. Perhaps he wouldn't even need to wait until graduation. Mo Xiaobai was a little embarrassed by the praise. After all, the cultivation level of these people present was basically not inferior to his parents. Some of them were even stronger. Headmaster Lin on the side had a gentle smile on his face as he said, "Student Xiao Bai, you've won glory for our Moonlight Secondary School this time. I hope you can work hard in the first prize trial. If you get into the big three, the school will give you even more generous rewards." Upon hearing Headmaster Lin's words, Head Lu also nodded and said, "The same goes for our Ministry of Education. The rewards will be given after you finish the first prize trial." He looked deeply at Mo Xiaobai and said, "Student Xiaobai, I sincerely hope that our Pingxi town can produce a student from the big three." Bu Bai grinned and said, "Xiaobai, do your best." Mo Xiaobai nodded and said, "I will do my best." The other higher-ups also nodded at Mo Xiaobai and encouraged Mo Xiaobai. If Mo Xiaobai could get into the big three, then in the next few years, their Pingxi town's resources would be multiplied by several folds. This was also one of the important reasons why their attitude towards Mo Xiaobai was so good. Otherwise, no matter how high Mo Xiaobai's talent was, it would have nothing to do with them. While everyone was talking, the last batch of examinees had finished their examination. The staff of the Ministry of Education put away the table and the examination crystal, then went up to the high platform to report. Head Lu nodded and the higher-ups stopped chatting with Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai's gaze swept across the examinees below the high platform. He realized that almost everyone was looking at him with a complicated gaze. He saw Li Yushu. Li Yushu no longer looked as arrogant as before. Instead, he looked a little absent-minded. When Mo Xiaobai's gaze met his, he immediately looked away and lowered his head. He also saw Mingyu and Lin Mingyu. The two of them were standing together and looking up at Mo Xiaobai. Their eyes were filled with confusion, and they looked like they were doubting life. One must know that when the three of them participated in the elite trial a month ago, Mo Xiaobai was still in the same physique refinement realm as them. In the end, a month later, when they had just broken through to become a martial fundamentalist, this guy had already reached 1 aperture level 5. The gap was so huge that it made them feel a little dazed. Head Lu's gaze swept across the examinees below the high platform and said, "The examination ends here. All the examinees have worked hard. Now, the college entrance examination is officially over. Everyone can leave in an orderly manner." Whoa! Hearing this, everyone cheered. The college entrance examination was over. What was next was a wonderful university life. It was said that after entering university, one could do many things that they couldn't do before. They could fall in love and go on adventures in the void. Who wouldn't look forward to it? Seeing the examinees leave, the Pingxi town mayor smiled and said, "All right, let's go out too. P.S. Thank you to an machine, book friend 2019052800213871, and Dao Xiaogu on Mount Bosnite Rain for their tips. Thank you, boss." Chapter 42. Mo Xiaobai followed the Pingxi town's higher-ups out of the cultivation field and was surrounded by a group of reporters. The reporters stared at Mo Xiaobai as if he was some kind of rare animal and kept asking him questions, including his age, cultivation, hobbies, and even feelings. There were all sorts of questions, making him feel a little dizzy. Fortunately, the higher-ups of Pingxi town helped Mo Xiaobai out of the predicament. The reporters only asked questions about his cultivation and so on. Mo Xiaobai vaguely replied that he had to work hard and so on before he left. As for how the media would report it, Mo Xiaobai had no idea. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were already waiting for him after he squeezed out of the encirclement. "Good job, son." Mo Yu hugged Mo Xiaobai tightly with a bright smile on his handsome face. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, "I haven't passed the Chumi trials yet." Mu Yuzhu held Mo Xiaobai's hand and said, "Even if you haven't passed, you're already outstanding enough. It's at least one of the top 10 schools." Mo Xiaobai shook his head. "I want to get into the big three." This was his promise with Xiaoran. Mu Yuzhu and Mo Yu were stunned when they saw Mo Xiaobai's determined look. Mu Yuzhu then smiled and nodded. "Then all the best. Let's go back first. I'll make you something good to eat today." Mo Xiaobai nodded. Then he looked around and realized that Wu Liang and the others who were guarding the door were no longer there. Even Captain Lin, who was on the high platform, was no longer there. He originally wanted to ask Captain Lin about the culprit, but he didn't expect them to leave so soon. Mo Xiaobai could only look away and leave with Mu Yuzhu and Mou. Mu Yuzhu made a table full of delicious food for dinner. During dinner, Mou and Mu Yuzhu kept putting food on Mo Xiaobai's plate. They were overjoyed that their son had become a fledgling. After dinner, Mo Xiaobai moved Little Red, who was lying on his feet, away. He went to take a shower and then returned to his room. Starlight sprinkled into the room. Mo Xiaobai was lying on the bed with his left hand resting on his head. His right hand was holding the youth jade pendant that Xiao Ran had given him. The blue bird jade pendant was covered in a layer of silver under the starlight. Mo Xiaobai looked at the jade pendant and his eyes flashed. After a while, he sighed and put away the jade pendant. The next day, Mo Xiaobai walked out of his room. After washing up, he went to the main hall. In the hall, Mou was sitting on a sofa, holding a translucent crystal in her hand. There were some white words flashing on the crystal. When Mo Xiaobai came over, he raised his head and said, "I just contacted Ningfeng. Tomorrow is Xiao Ran's funeral." Mo Xiaobai was silent for a moment. His stomach twitched uncomfortably again. He nodded. "All right, I understand." At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Mo Xiaobai walked over to open the door and saw Master Lu standing outside. When he saw Mo Xiaobai, a gentle smile appeared on his stern face. "Student Mo Xiaobai, good morning." When Mo Xiaobai saw Master Lu, his eyes widened in surprise. "Master Lu?" Then he hurriedly stepped aside. "Please come in." Master Lu nodded and walked into the house. Mou stood up and welcomed him. "Welcome, Master Lu." Head Lu smiled. "Congratulations, Commander Mo. You have such an outstanding son." "Ha ha ha, you're too kind. Please have a seat." Although Mou said that she was flattered, she couldn't hide the smile on her face. "All right, why are you here?" Master Lu sat down on the sofa and said with a smile, "It's like this. The news about the first Cries trial is out." Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai was shocked. His heartbeat quickened as he looked at Master Lu. Mou was also shocked. She asked, "Where's the venue this time?" Master Lu said, "Yanggu City's Blazing Wilderness Void Domain." Blazing Wilderness? Mou frowned. "That's Suffering Grade Class 1 Void Domain?" Master Lu nodded. "Yes, it's there." Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. He was shocked. Suffering Grade Void Domain? Void Domains were divided into Normal Grade, Suffering Grade, and Nightmare Grade. It was said that there was an even more terrifying Void Domain above Nightmare Grade. The magical beasts and demons inside were all different in strength. Just like the Greystone Hills, it was only a Normal Grade Void Domain. The strongest magical beast inside was only an Elite Grade. As for the Suffering Grade Void Domain, the magical beasts inside were Normal Grade, Elite Grade, and even Boss Grade. There was even a small chance that Class 2 magical beasts and demons would appear. The danger level was much higher than the Normal Grade Void Domain. The first Cries trial was so difficult, Mo Xiaobai felt his scalp go numb. Master Lu nodded slightly. "Yes, the Suffering Grade is quite dangerous." He looked at Mo Xiaobai. "How about it? Xiaobai, if you don't want to participate, you can participate in the other trials of the 4th to 10th Academy." Mo Xiaobai shook his head. "I want to participate." He had to go to one of the big 3. Moreover, the Suffering Grade Void Domain was not necessarily a bad thing. Although the Suffering Grade Void Domain was more dangerous, the treasures it produced were naturally more than the Normal Grade Void Domain. There was a chance of obtaining rare grade or even rare grade treasures. This was a good thing for Mo Xiaobai. With his Providence line, he would be able to obtain more rewards in the difficult Grade Void Domain. He might even be able to find another Void Domain treasure. Mo Xiaobai couldn't help but look forward to a rank 1 Void Domain treasure in the difficult Grade Void Domain. Seeing Mo Xiaobai so resolute, Manor Head Lu nodded in satisfaction. He said with a smile, "The first Cry trial will begin in a week. I'll take you to Ancient Sun City on an origin car. If you're ready, it's best if you leave today. We can make some preparations after arriving there and familiarize ourselves with the situation." Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He then shook his head slightly. I'm sorry, Master Lu. Can we depart tomorrow? I have some matters to attend to. He had to attend Xiao Ran's funeral to send him on his last journey. Upon hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Mannerhead Lu pondered for a moment before nodding. No problem. Yanggu City isn't too far from Pingxi Town. We'll be there in 4 days. We can leave tomorrow, too. Mo Xiaobai heaved a sigh of relief and said gratefully, Thank you, Master Lu. Master Lu patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder and said very gently, There's no need to thank me. It's what I should do. He then stood up. They'll take my leave. The college entrance exam has just ended, and there are a lot of matters to attend to. Mo stood up. Aren't you going to have breakfast here before you leave? No. Master Lu smiled and waved his hand. Then I'll send you off. Mo Xiaobai and Mo sent Master Lu off and then returned home. Not long after, Mu Yuzhu came out of the kitchen. It's time for breakfast. After hearing that Mo Xiaobai's trial was in the difficult grade void domain, both Mo and Mu Yuzhu were worried. Naturally, they reminded Mo Xiaobai again and again. Mo Xiaobai nodded repeatedly as he listened, agreeing one by one. Although he didn't know if he could do it, he still had to agree. As for the specifics, they would talk about it after entering the void domain. With the destiny line, Mo Xiaobai wasn't particularly worried. Instead, he was looking forward to it. Chapter 43. After breakfast, Mo Xiaobai went out. He wanted to find Wu Yang and the others from Azure Edge to ask about the situation of the murder case. He wanted to know if the murderer was another shadow demon hound. He wanted to know if there was an evil sect doing something unspeakable behind the scenes. The headquarters of Azure Edge was very close to the Adventurers Guild. They were on the same street. As Mo Xiaobai walked on the street, passers-by would turn to look at him with curiosity and shock in their eyes. They would then whisper to their companions. There were even some female adventurers who stared at him with sparkling eyes. Mo Xiaobai naturally knew the reason. The news of him becoming a dragon whelp and participating in the First Cry's trial had already been published in the newspaper this morning. It even took up the entire front page. It could be said that he was now considered a celebrity in Pingxi Town. There were even forthright adventurers who cheered him on along the way. In response, Mo Xiaobai could only reply with an awkward but polite smile. Soon, he arrived at the headquarters of Azure Edge. It was a blue 3-story building with white lines on top. There was even a small garden outside the building. It looked a little fresh and did not match the nature of Azure Edge's work. Mo Xiaobai entered the building. There was a hall inside. The hall was paved with brown stone slabs, and the floor was shiny. However, it was not very spacious. It was a little shabby compared to the Adventurers Guild. Mo Xiaobai scanned the hall and walked towards the black wooden front desk. Behind the front desk sat a mermaid with freckles and a human girl with a round face. The two of them were looking down at the morning newspaper. It happened to be Mo Xiaobai's page, and they were whispering to each other. You don't say, this Mo Xiaobai is really handsome. He's my type. If I know him, I'll definitely pursue him. Come on, he's a dragon whelp. Why would he like you? That's true. He's so handsome and talented. I heard that he comes from a good family, too. One look, and you can tell that he's a scumbag. Who knows how many girlfriends he has? I agree. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. Seeing the two girls talking about him, Mo Xiaobai felt like his heart had been stabbed a few times. Ahem. He coughed softly. Immediately, the two girls trembled and raised their heads. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, their faces flushed red, as if they were about to emit steam from their eyes. Their expressions were extremely awkward. The slightly round-faced human girl took away the newspaper on the table, and then Mo Xiaobai heard the wail of the newspaper being twisted into a ball under the table. The mermaid girl smiled as if she didn't recognize Mo Xiaobai. Sir, how can I help you? Mo Xiaobai didn't mention what happened before. He smiled and said, Hello, I'm here to look for Captain Wu Liang. Hearing this, the mermaid girl and the human girl were stunned. Then the human girl said apologetically, Mo Xiaobai, Azure Edge's combat team isn't here right now. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He frowned. Is it because of the murder case? The human girl nodded. Yes, Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai was silent for a while. Then he nodded. Thank you, I'm fine. He turned and walked out the door. He took a deep breath. It seemed like the situation this time was more serious than he thought. The Azure Edge in a small town obviously didn't only have one combat team. He didn't expect all of them to be mobilized. After Mo Xiaobai walked out of the door, the two girls at the front desk looked at each other. The mermaid girl was speechless. Xiaofang, what's wrong with you? Can't you just pretend that you don't know Mo Xiaobai? Isn't it awkward now? The round-faced human girl had a look of realization. Her eyes widened. All right, I forgot. Oh no, he must have heard us talking just now. But I didn't expect Mo Xiaobai to be so handsome. He's even more handsome than in the photos. He agreed. Since he couldn't find Wu Liang to understand the situation, Mo Xiaobai could only go home and prepare for the Chummy trial. A day passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. The sun rose from the horizon and the sky gradually brightened. In the cemetery in the eastern suburbs of Pingxi Town, the pine and cypress trees in the cemetery were tall and green. There was still morning dew on the pine needles. The tombstones and pine trees cast shadows together under the morning light. The entire cemetery seemed quiet and gentle. Mo Xiaobai, Mo Yu, and Mu Yuzhu walked on the clean limestone path. Soon, they arrived in front of a newly erected tombstone. Apart from them, there was another person standing in front of the tombstone. Ningfeng's body was no longer as tall and strong as it used to be. Instead, it was slightly hunched. His white rabbit ears, which were originally erect, were now lying on both sides of his head. Mo Xiaobai turned to look at the white jade tombstone. Ning Ran's photo was on the tombstone. In the photo, Ning Ran was grinning. He looked a little silly. Below the photo were the words, "Beloved, Ning Ran's grave." Mo Xiaobai suddenly felt his eyes sting. He squinted his eyes slightly. He exhaled and gently placed the bouquet in front of the tombstone. Xiao Ran, rest in peace. Sensing Mo Xiaobai's movements, Ning Feng's body moved. He then turned his head. There was no longer a cheerful smile on his face. His gaze was hollow. There were thick dark circles under his eyes. His cheeks were sunken. He looked haggard and haggard. Obviously, Ning Ran's death was a huge blow to Ning Feng. When Ning Feng saw Mo Xiaobai and the other two, the corners of his mouth twitched. He revealed a smile. You're here. Mo Xiaobai heard Ning Feng's voice. It was a little hoarse and dry. Mo Yu nodded and patted Ning Feng's shoulder. The dead are gone. My condolences. At this moment, Mo Yu glanced at Ning Feng in surprise. Your cultivation. Ning Feng revealed a smile that looked more like he was crying. I didn't break through when Xiao Ran was here. Now that she's gone, I've broken through. Mo Yu and the other two were speechless. Ning Feng had been at the 2-chakra level for almost 10 years. He had just broken through to the 3-chakra level and could give Xiao Ran a better life. He didn't expect Xiao Ran to be gone. This was probably the biggest tragedy. Mo Xiaobai and the other two paid their respects to Ning Ran. Before they left, Ning Feng patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. Xiaobai, I heard that you're going to participate in the Chuming trial. If Xiao Ran knew, she'd be very happy. Mo Xiaobai smiled. Uncle Ning, I'll get into the big 3. This is my promise with Xiao Ran. Ning Feng nodded lightly and forced a smile. Good luck. Mo Xiaobai and the other two left the cemetery. Ning Feng didn't go with them, saying that he wanted to spend more time with Ning Ran. When Mo Xiaobai and the other two returned to the neighborhood, it was almost 10 o'clock. Head Lu was waiting for Mo Xiaobai at the entrance of the neighborhood. When they saw Head Lu, the 3 walked over. Mo Xiaobai was a little embarrassed. Head Lu, sorry to keep you waiting. Head Lu smiled. It's fine. Are you done? Mo Xiaobai nodded. Yes. Shall we leave now? Mo Xiaobai nodded. Then he smiled at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu. Dad, Mom, I'll be leaving. Mo Yu patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. Brat, good luck. Do your best for me. Mo Xiaobai grinned. No problem. Mu Yuzhu hugged Mo Xiaobai. Be careful in the void. Don't go to dangerous places. Safety first. Mo Xiaobai nodded. Got it, Mom. He patted Lil Red's warm head. Lil Red, I'm leaving. As he spoke, He waved at Mou and Mu Yuju and left the neighborhood with head Lu. P.S. Thank you to Dan Dow, Compound Fertilizer, Qian Feng, and Ma Xin, the 45th lot, and Tian Qian Su for their rewards. Thank you, Big Brother. P.S. Today is Mother's Day. Remember to send your blessings. If possible, accompany your mother. Chapter 44. The origin train station was located to the west of Pingxi Town. Mo Xiao by followed manor head Lu and soon arrived at the station. The station was a small one-story building. After entering through the main door, there was an underground passage. There were various advertisements hanging on the walls on both sides of the passage. The two of them walked down the stairs. Mo Xiaobai looked around curiously. Manor head Lu saw this and asked, "Is this the first time Mo Xiaobai has traveled so far?" Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes, I've heard that the origin train is underground, but this is the first time I've seen it." Manor head Lu said, "There are many origin beasts, demonic beasts, and even some barbaric and uncivilized races on the surface. The tracks of the origin train are built underground for safety reasons." Mo Xiaobai nodded, indicating that he understood. The entire Azure planet was vast. The Azure Empire, which was formed by the 6 races, occupied most of the continent. The remaining corners were either the 3 forbidden areas or other dangerous areas. However, even within the Empire's borders, it was not completely safe. Origin beasts, demonic beasts, barbaric and uncivilized races, and even some demonic forces were always on the move. If the tracks of the origin train were built on the surface, the danger would definitely be much higher. The two of them quickly walked down the stairs and arrived at a large and empty underground hall. The hall was made of kind of black metal, and it looked a little cold. Perhaps it was because they were underground, but the air was slightly cold. There were people walking in 2s and 3s. The left side was the ticket area, while the right side was the ticket inspection area. They entered the platform through the ticket inspection area. Because the origin train could only move between cities, there were very few people. Manor head Lu bought 2 tickets to Sun Ancient City from the ticket counter. The departure time was exactly 11 o'clock, so there was only about half an hour left. The two of them hurriedly checked their tickets, then followed the road signs and found their platform in the complicated underground passage. After waiting for a while, a completely black origin train made of several carriages drove over from the tracks and stopped in front of the platform. With a whoosh, the door opened. A few people got off the carriage. After they got off, head Lu pulled Mo Xiaobai and a few others into the carriage. Mansion head Lu took the ticket and handed it to the staff. Under the guidance of the staff, the two of them arrived at a small room. The walls of the room were white, and there was a soft single bed on the left and right sides of the room. There was also a fixed table placed between the 2 beds, and there was a small door on the left. Mo Xiaobai glanced at it and realized that it was the bathroom. After the staff left, Mansion head Lu closed the door. Mo Xiaobai said in surprise, "Manor head Lu, this luxurious sleeper shouldn't be cheap, right? Isn't that too extravagant?" Although Mo Xiaobai had never ridden an origin motorcycle before, he still knew this kind of common knowledge. Master Lu sat on the bed and pushed up his rimless glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. A smile appeared on his serious face. "The travel expenses for bringing the fledglings to participate in the Chuming trial will be reimbursed by the Empire." Mo Xiaobai, he nodded and didn't say anything else. The motorcycle started very quickly, and there was only a slight vibration in the cabin. Overall, it was quite stable and quiet. There were no windows in the private room, so they couldn't see what was going on outside. However, even without looking, Mo Xiaobai knew that they were in an underground tunnel, so it must be pitch black outside. They couldn't go anywhere while staying in the private room, so the journey was a bit boring. Fortunately, he brought a few books to read to pass the time. Mansion head Lu wasn't a talkative person, but the two of them would still talk occasionally. Mo Xiaobai found out that Mansion head Lu was a local of Pingxi Town. Back then, he was also in the top 100 academies, but it was at the bottom. Even so, he returned to Pingxi Town and settled down for a few years before becoming the mansion head of the Ministry of Education. Mansion head Lu had a beautiful rabbit human wife and a son and a daughter. When talking about his family, Mansion head Lu's serious expression seemed to melt like ice and snow. There was a hint of happiness and gentleness in his smile, and he even talked more. He was always talking about how mischievous his son was, how adorable his daughter was, and how gentle and virtuous his wife was. It was obvious that he was very satisfied with his current life and was also very happy. Mo Xiaobai was also very willing to be a good listener and listen to Mansion head Lu talk about his happy life. For days passed in a hurry. When the Origin motorcycle stopped at the station again, Mansion head Lu stood up, picked up the brown windbreaker hanging on the wall, and put it on. He smiled and said, "All right, Xiaobai, let's get off." Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. After talking for a few days, the relationship between the two of them had become closer than before. After getting off the motorcycle, Mo Xiaobai realized that there were obviously more pedestrians waiting at the platform than in Pingxi Town. Mansion head Lu squeezed through the crowd with Mo Xiaobai, then exited the station through the ticket gate. Mo Xiaobai was a little surprised to see so many pedestrians coming and going in the underground hall. Mansion head Lu said, Yanggu City has about 30 million permanent residents, but there are also quite a lot of outsiders. Due to work and business trips, the number of people at the station is much more than in Pingxi Town. Mo Xiaobai nodded in realization. All right, let's go out. The two of them followed the stairs to the surface. As soon as they walked out of the station, Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. As far as the eye could see, there were many tall buildings, wide streets, cars coming and going, giant Origin beasts roaring as they ran, and the bustling crowd of pedestrians. There were even giant screens on the tall buildings with advertisements playing on them. It's so lively. Mo Xiaobai felt his heart beating violently in his chest, and a rush of hot blood rushed to his head. Mansion head Lu smiled and said, compared to Pingxi Town, it's much more lively. Mo Xiaobai nodded his head in agreement. Let's go to the hotel booked by the officials first. The young dragons and phoenixes of the Empire are all gathered there. Mansion head Lu hailed a taxi and got on with Mo Xiaobai. The driver was a barbarian with short, messy black hair. Mansion head Lu said, Sir, please take us to Sichuan Hotel. Sichuan Hotel? The barbarian driver was stunned. He turned his head to look at Mansion head Lu and Mo Xiaobai, and finally stared at Mo Xiaobai with wide eyes. Then, he grinned and said enthusiastically, Are you here to participate in the first cries trial? Mo Xiaobai was stunned, then nodded, Yes. Ha, welcome, welcome. It's been a long time since the first cries trial has been held in Yanggu City. Sichuan Hotel, right? Come on up. Young man, you're really talented. Young dragon, TSK. Who knows, you might even make it to the big three. When that time comes, you'll be so impressive. Mo Xiaobai smiled a little embarrassedly. You're too kind, sir. Right? Young man, do you have a girlfriend? My daughter is really pretty. Mo Xiaobai. He glanced at the burly and slovenly barbarian driver, and the corners of his mouth twitched into a polite smile. I already have a girlfriend. Beside him, Mansion head Lu's face twitched violently, and his shoulders trembled violently. He clearly remembered that Mo Xiaobai did not have a girlfriend. That's too bad. The barbarian driver sighed a little regretfully. After being slightly disappointed, the barbarian driver once again enthusiastically chatted with Mo Xiaobai. Soon, the car stopped in front of a tall building. The barbarian driver grinned. We've arrived at Sichuan Hotel. Both of you may alight. Chapter 45. After the barbarian driver finished speaking, he looked at Mo Xiaobai again unwillingly. Young man, are you really not going to consider my daughter? Who knows? You might break up with her at any time. Mo Xiaobai, he laughed dryly. Ha! Thank you for your concern. I definitely won't break up with her. And head Lu quickly got out of the car. After getting rid of the enthusiastic driver, Mo Xiaobai sighed in relief. Mo Xiaobai and head Lu raised their heads and looked at the huge hotel in front of them. The hotel was about 10 meters tall and took up a large area. There was a screen at the top on which dragons and phoenixes danced and formed a few words. Welcome, young dragons and phoenixes, to Sichuan Hotel. Let's go in. Head Lu said. Mo Xiaobai nodded and retracted his gaze from the screen. Then he looked around. Other than them, there were other people going in and out. Usually, there would be one or a few young men or women around his age following an elder. Of course, there were also young men and women moving alone or in groups. While Mo Xiaobai was observing them, many people were also sizing up Mo Xiaobai. He followed Head Lu through the door and could vaguely hear people talking. Another newcomer. I wonder how strong he is? Who knows? At this time, no one wants to reveal their strength. He's not bad-looking, but I'm afraid he's just an embroidered pillow, good-looking but useless. Hee hee. Are you jealous that he's more handsome than you? You're the one who's jealous. After entering the hotel, the floor of the lobby was made of white marble, and there was an extremely luxurious crystal chandelier at the top. The entire lobby looked magnificent. Mo Xiaobai and Head Lu came to the front desk. Other than them, there were a few people lined up in 3 groups to register. They should be newcomers as well. Mo Xiaobai and Head Lu chose the left side with the fewest people and lined up. Soon, the people in front finished checking in. Mo Xiaobai and Head Lu went up. The receptionist was a beautiful human woman with long, wavy, chestnut-colored hair. She wore light eyeshadow and red lipstick, making her look rather charming. She raised her head and looked at Mansion Chief Lu and Mo Xiaobai. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, her eyes lit up and she smiled. Nice to meet you too. Please show me your identification. Mansion Head Lu and Mo Xiaobai handed over their identification cards. The receptionist casually glanced at Mansion Head Lu's identification card before turning to look at Mo Xiaobai's. Mo Xiaobai, she mumbled to herself, then began to search through the device in front of her. Soon enough, her eyes widened slightly as she glanced at Mo Xiaobai. She exclaimed in surprise, "From Pingxi Town?" Because of her surprise, the receptionist's voice was a little loud. Even the person who was registering at the side looked over with a bit of surprise and curiosity in his eyes. The few young men and women who were in the middle of registering revealed looks of disdain. A baby dragon from small town? How rare was that? He was practically a rare animal. Even if his cultivation had caught up, how could he compare to them in terms of equipment and origin skills? Candidates who came from small towns to participate in the First Cries trial rarely made it to the Big Three. Candidates from cities like them naturally looked down on them. Mansion Chief Lu frowned slightly. Is there a problem? No. The receptionist hurriedly replied with a smile. She quickly registered Mo Xiaobai and Head Lu's information and handed their ID cards back to them. At the same time, she handed over a room card and didn't say anything else. Mansion Chief Lu took the room card and turned to leave with Mo Xiaobai. After the two of them left, the few young men and women revealed relaxed smiles. A frivolous night creature youth with both hands in his pockets laughed. I didn't expect him to be a country bumpkin. A beautiful mermaid girl with an oval face said regretfully, "It's such a pity that he's so handsome." Hee hee, can being handsome feed you? A fierce-looking rabbit youth with squinting eyes sneered unhappily. The mermaid girl glanced at him and didn't reply. This made the rabbit youth feel as if his heart had been pierced. The room was number 5 on the 6th floor. Mo Xiaobai and Mansion Chief Lu used the room card to open the door and walked in. Mo Xiaobai looked around and found that the room wasn't bad. It had 2 bedrooms and a living room. Mansion Chief Lu took off his windbreaker and hung it on a hanger. He patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. "Xiaobai, don't take it to heart. Those geniuses from cities aren't necessarily that strong. I believe that you aren't any weaker than them." How could Mansion Chief Lu not have felt the gazes of those people at the front desk? Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Don't worry, Mansion Chief Lu. I didn't take it to heart." Mansion Chief Lu nodded in satisfaction. He originally thought that Mo Xiaobai was young and impetuous and would feel uncomfortable. He didn't expect him to be so calm. With this kind of temperament, even if he didn't get into the Big Three this time, he would definitely grow into an expert in the future. After all, Mo Xiaobai's talent was definitely not any weaker than others. The only thing lacking was the platform. As long as he got into the top 10 schools and worked hard enough, how could he be inferior to others? Mo Xiaobai wasn't as calm as Mansion Chief Lu thought. He didn't take it to heart because he didn't think that those people were stronger than him. He cultivated the flawless elementary origin refining technique and also had the talent of Titan strength. In addition, he had perfected triple slash and fleet foot, as well as a rare heavenly forged weapon. However, those people weren't enough to make Mo Xiaobai angry. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai noticed a huge, thick book on the table. He walked over in confusion. What's this? Mansion Chief Lu glanced at the thick book and thought of something. He smiled. This should be the Dragon Phoenix list. Dragon Phoenix list? Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. Although he had only participated in the Chuming trial this year, he still knew about the Dragon Phoenix list. It recorded the rough information and rankings of all the candidates participating in the trial. What's my ranking like? Mo Xiaobai curiously flipped open the book and saw the words Dragon Phoenix list on the first page. He continued flipping. The first line, first place, Yin Shui, Northern Blue City, direct descendant of the Yin family. 2 apertures, level 1. Mo Xiaobai. He stared at the words 2 apertures, level 1, and a question mark slowly appeared in his mind. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? He rubbed his eyes and realized that the words didn't turn into 1 aperture. His scalp went numb. 2 apertures. Is this a joke? He continued reading. Second place, Wood Forest, Jadeite City, direct descendant of the Mu family. 2 apertures, level 1. Mo Xiaobai silently flipped to the last page of the booklet and looked at the last line. 8,998, Yihong, Cranetown, 1 aperture, level 5. I'm not last. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed and continued reading. 8,997, Mo Xiaobai, Pingxi Town, 1 aperture, level 5. Mo Xiaobai. Fine, I knew it. He smacked his lips in his mind. P.S. Thanks to Napoleon's underwear, a machine, and Pei for not being home today. Thanks to book friend 20170109202641356. Chapter 46. In the end, Mo Xiaobai flipped through the entire Dragon Phoenix list and found that there were only 3 fledglings from the town. All 3 of them were 1 apertured rank 5. Mo Xiaobai was in the middle of the 3 fledglings, which was not bad. Of course, it would be better if the 3 of them were not at the bottom of the Dragon Phoenix list. The ones with the highest cultivation were Yin Shui and Mu Senlin. They were both 2 apertured. From the 3rd place onward, they were at the peak of 1 apertured. However, even if he was only at the pinnacle of 1 aperture, he was already very powerful. Head Lu walked over and said with a smile, "You only need to look at the Dragon Phoenix list. There are only the most basic names, regions, and cultivation. Some examinees have talent, but it won't be shown here." Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows. Then isn't the ranking very inaccurate? He had Titan power, which was not shown here. It's not accurate to begin with. The ranking here is based only on cultivation. If the cultivation is the same, the stronger the region, the higher the ranking. But in fact, there are many geniuses from weaker cities who are stronger than geniuses from stronger cities. Mo Xiaobai nodded. He did not believe that he was so weak. It could only be said that the Dragon Phoenix list information was not complete. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai lost interest in the Dragon Phoenix list. Although they sat in a luxurious sleeper on the Force motorcycle, they were still a little tired after 4 days of riding. The 2 of them ate some of the food prepared by the hotel and went to rest. The next morning, Chief Lu left the hotel with Mo Xiaobai. The first Ming trial would begin tomorrow, so they planned to go out and check it out. They walked on the streets and saw all kinds of advertisements about the first Ming trial. People were discussing the ranking of the first Ming trial everywhere. The most popular people were Yin Shui and Mu Senlin. Almost everyone was sure that the 2 of them would be competing for the top score this time. 2 apertured rank 1 was not a joke. Mo Xiaobai even saw people opening plates in many places to bet on the ranking. The entire Yanggu city became very lively because of the first Cries trial. The blazing wilderness had already been sealed off by the Empire a week ago. Mo Xiaobai and Manor Head Lu were unable to enter. After all, those participating in the first Cries trial were all geniuses of the Empire. Just in case, they had to go to the blazing wilderness and clean it up a few times to prevent any accidents. Thus, Mansion Chief Lu brought Mo Xiaobai to the Adventurers Guild to buy an adventure guidebook about the blazing wilderness. On it was a general description of the blazing heat wilderness, including the types of magical beasts, the types of herbs and minerals, which areas were more dangerous, which areas were rich in resources, and so on. At the same time, Mo Xiaobai and Mansion Head Lu also chatted with some adventurers to learn about the gossip of other adventurers. After spending an entire day, Mo Xiaobai roughly understood the situation in the blazing wilderness and had a rough idea of what was going on. Then, the two of them ate Yanggu City's specialty roast mutton for dinner before taking a taxi back to the hotel. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai changed into a full set of elite-grade leather armor. When he walked out of his room, he saw Mansion Chief Lu tidying up his attire with a meticulous look on his face. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, Mansion Chief Lu pushed up his rimless glasses. "Are you ready?" Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Yes, I'm ready. Then let's go." The two of them walked out of the room and found that there were many doors opening one after another. One by one, the examinees and their elders came out. At this moment, all the examinees had already changed into their equipment. Some were wearing leather armor, some were wearing heavy armor, and some were wearing ordinary light silk clothes. After going downstairs, everyone walked out of the hall. A staff member wearing the Education Ministry's uniform stood at the door and shouted, "All examinees participating in the first Cries trial, please get on the bus. All examinees participating in the first Cries trial, please get on the bus." There were several large transport vehicles parked in front of the hotel. Mansion Chief Lu patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder and said, "I can't go with you after this. When you go to the blazing wilderness, you have to work hard and take care of your own safety." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Don't worry, Mansion Chief Lu." There were quite a number of examinees in the hotel. Mo Xiaobai followed the crowd and quickly got on one of the transport vehicles. After all the examinees got on the transport vehicle, the vehicle started and drove out. Mo Xiaobai sat by the window and saw Mansion Chief Lu waving at him from afar. Yanggu City covered a large area. After driving for about an hour, the vehicle arrived at the Blazing Wilderness Adventure Center at the edge of the city. After Mo Xiaobai got off the vehicle, he sized up the Blazing Wilderness Adventure Center and was a little surprised. Needless to say, it was indeed a big city. This adventure center was much more imposing than the Greystone Hills Adventure Center in Pingxi Town. The entire building was built with a type of red rock and looked extremely gorgeous. Furthermore, the area was also much larger than the Greystone Hills Adventure Center. There were many examinees participating in the first Cries trial. Apart from those who stayed at Sichuan Hotel, there were also some who stayed at other hotels. Mo Xiaobai saw several transport vehicles parked to the side. "All examinees, follow me." A staff member in the Ministry of Education's uniform shouted at the front, drowning out the excited clamor of the examinees. He led the crowd towards the Adventure Center. Mo Xiaobai noticed that there were even squads of guards standing guard outside the Adventure Center. It was obvious that the Empire still attached great importance to the first Cries trial. After entering the Adventure Center, Missouri Xiaobai and the others went through a physical examination under the guidance of the staff. They were scanned by various instruments. After the physical examination, they entered the light door one by one. After entering the light door, Mo Xiaobai's vision blurred, and he appeared in a huge plaza. The blazing sun in the sky emitted a dazzling light. The air was a little stuffy, and the temperature was extremely high. In just a short while, Mo Xiaobai was already sweating. "Why is it so hot?" He let out a muffled breath and was speechless. As expected of the suffering level void domain, just the environment alone was enough to make one suffer. Although he had read in the adventure guidebook that the temperature in the blazing wilderness was very high during the day, he only knew how hot it was after experiencing it for himself. As time passed, close to 9,000 examinees entered the blazing wilderness. Mo Xiaobai observed the crowd and noticed that most of them were wiping the sweat off their foreheads, especially the examinees who were wearing armor. Mo Xiaobai felt that if he sprinkled some spices on them later, the smell would not be too bad. However, there were a small number of people who looked normal and did not seem to be affected. Mo Xiaobai even noticed a human girl with short black hair wearing an ice blue leather armor. There were runes flashing on the leather armor, and there was even a trace of cold air around her. He was stunned. What kind of equipment was that? It came with its own air conditioner, a whole set of rank 1 rare-grade leather armor. It might even be a rare one. It must be very cool beside her, right? Mo Xiaobai wanted to get some cold air, but he noticed a problem. No one dared to come within 5 meters of this human girl. Who was this person? Mo Xiaobai was surprised. Chapter 47. Just as Mo Xiaobai was puzzled, a majestic voice rang out from the sky. Silence. The voice vibrated as if it had exploded beside their ears. In an instant, the noisy square quieted down. Mo Xiaobai raised his head to look at the sky. A barbarian man with a square face, thick eyebrows and sharp eyes was standing in the air with his arms crossed. He was wearing the Education Ministry's uniform, and his muscular body made the uniform taut, as if his clothes were going to burst at any moment. After seeing this man, Mo Xiaobai's heart skipped a beat. An expert. One had to be at least 7 orifices to be able to fly. This barbarian man must be at least 7 orifices. The man saw everyone looking over and slowly opened his mouth. Let me introduce myself. I am the person in charge of this first cries trial. Do let me explain the rules of this trial. The first cries trial uses a point system. Magical beast corpses, extraordinary materials, herbs, and ores found from the corpses of magical beasts can be counted as points. Magical beasts with 1 orifice and below level 5 will not be counted. Level 5 normal magical beasts will be counted as 1 point. Elite magical beasts will be counted as 5 points. Leader magical beasts will be counted as 20 points. Mo Xiaobai listened to Du's explanation seriously as his heart pounded violently. Originally, he was feeling a little pressured by this trial. After all, although his battle power was not bad, his cultivation was still low, and there were plenty of candidates who were stronger than him. Now, if the herbs and ores were counted as points, he was 100% confident that he could enter the top 3 famous schools. Even if they were geniuses with higher cultivation, how could their ability to find treasures be better than him? Who knows? Maybe his ranking could even be pushed up. Mo Xiaobai clenched his fists tightly as he was extremely excited. Very quickly, Du finished explaining the point system and said, "You can attack candidates during the trial, but you cannot kill or cripple them. If you are found, you will be dealt with severely. This trial will last for half a month. Within this half a month, after you leave the adventurer's encampment, you are not allowed to return. If you return to the encampment or ask for help, even if the trial ends, your points will be fixed." Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened, revealing a look of horror. We can't return to the encampment? The blazing wilderness is very dangerous at night. Are we going to spend the night outside? Many people exclaimed in disbelief. Even Mo Xiaobai's pupil shrank. He still had a deep impression of the night at the Greystone Hills. He had almost lost his life when he was surrounded by Greystone wolves. Who would have thought that they would have to stay in the blazing wilderness for half a month? He could not help but feel his scalp go numb and his heart tremble. Wasn't this difficulty a little too high? Seeing everyone's frightened expressions, Du frowned and snorted. "What are you nervous about? This is only a Tier 1 void domain. You don't even dare to stay in a Tier 1 void domain at night. Aren't you just sending yourselves to your deaths if you enter a higher void domain?" A powerful aura gushed out of Du's body, instantly suppressing everyone, causing them to keep quiet out of fear. Seeing that no one was talking, Du grinned and said, "You are all the geniuses of the Empire. The first cries trial is prepared for you. Let me tell you, the top 10 schools of the Empire have all sent representatives to watch you. You should think about how to perform better." He spread out his hands. "Go. Young dragons and phoenixes of the Empire. Show yourselves to your heart's content, and let the world hear your voices. Hearing Su Du's words, everyone felt their blood boil and rush to their heads. That's right, they were the most outstanding geniuses of the Empire. It was only a night in the Void Domain. Why couldn't they stay? Mo Xiao Bai's mouth twitched and black lines appeared on his forehead. Listen to this guy's nonsense. It was not like he had not stayed in the Void Domain at night before. Thinking about the countless demon beasts, he could not get excited at all. Of course, there were also people who had stayed in the Void Domain at night. Right now, they were all expressionless. The trial has begun. You can set off now. At the city gate, you can receive a distress crystal. Su Du saw that most of the people were excited by his words and was very satisfied. As for those who were not fooled, it was obvious that they had personally experienced the Void Domain at night, so he did not care about them. Hearing Su Du's words, many candidates began to leave the plaza and ran towards the city gate. Mo Xiaobai also followed the flow of people toward the city gate. Very soon, he arrived at the city gate and saw a group of guards standing guard. At the same time, there were a number of staff members in Education Ministry uniforms handing out something. Mo Xiaobai walked over and was handed a fist-sized white crystal by an ordinary-looking mermaid girl. She said gently, "This is a distress crystal. Someone will come to save you after you inject your origin power into it. Good luck." Mo Xiaobai received the distress crystal and nodded with a smile. "Thank you." The mermaid girl blushed and nodded lightly. Mo Xiaobai walked out of the city gate and saw a barren land as far as the eye could see. There were cracks in the earth, making it look extremely dry. Moreover, the temperature was so high that even the air seemed to be distorted. Mo Xiaobai sighed and wiped the sweat off his forehead as he moved toward the east. The scorching wilderness was different from the Ashstone Hills. The farther one was from the adventurer's base, the stronger the magical beasts. It was the same no matter which direction one went. The reason he was heading east was because, according to the adventurer's guidebook, there was a kind of herb called scorched earth rhizome. This kind of herb grew under the dry and scorched earth. There was only a small section of withered grass on it, making it very difficult to find. Of course, this was true for ordinary people. It was all the same for Mo Xiaobai. He would just pluck it out after finding it. This herb was more common in the east. This was also Mo Xiaobai's goal. An ordinary scorched earth rhizome was worth 5 points and was equivalent to an elite rank 5 magical beast. How worthwhile was this? There were still many candidates when they had just left the city gate, but as they moved further away from the base, Mo Xiaobai found that the number of people around him had decreased. Although they could attack each other, no one was an idiot. Why would they attack each other when they hadn't found anything yet? As they went deeper, the distance between them increased. The person closest to Mo Xiaobai was already a few hundred meters away. However, Mo Xiaobai hadn't encountered any magical beasts so far. They were probably killed by the people in front of him, or there were no more magical beasts nearby. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai saw a touch of light red at the edge of the White Providence line in the distance. His eyes lit up as he walked toward the light red Providence line. In the area where the light red Providence line gathered, there was a withered grass that looked no different from the other areas. Mo Xiaobai took out his herb-picking shovel and carefully dug up the surrounding withered ground. Immediately, the thin, long, withered, and yellow roots were exposed. There was indeed a scorched earth rhizome. He was excited. So many people had passed by, but no one had found it. He was the only one who could find the scorched earth rhizome so easily. This wave was settled. P.S. Thanks to Fei Yue and Violet Moonfall for the tips. Thank you, big brother. Chapter 48. Mo Xiaobai carefully dug out the entire scorched earth rhizome and placed it into his spatial ring. Only then did he stand up and look around. There were still a few candidates scattered around in the distance, but they hadn't noticed the situation here. Mo Xiaobai didn't pay it any mind and continued moving in the direction where there were fewer people. There were more scorched earth rhizome than he had imagined. In just a few hours, Mo Xiaobai had already found 8 or 9 of them. This speed was much faster than killing magical beasts. It was at this time that Mo Xiao saw a reddish-brown figure crawling on the ground in the distance. It was a giant lizard over 4 meters long. Thick, yellow mucus dripped from the corner of its sinister mouth, making sizzling sounds as it dripped onto the scorched earth. Its scarlet eyes contained a tyrannical aura. Blazing salamander, 1 aperture rank 6. Mo Xiao paused his steps and looked at the powerful blazing salamander warily. Most of the areas in the blazing wilderness were very spacious. When Mo Xiao saw it, it also saw Mo Xiao. Hiss! The blazing salamander let out a sharp hiss. Its stubby limbs stepped on the ground, and its body twisted like a snake, turning into a reddish-brown shadow that charged toward Mo Xiao. There were gray and faint red rays of light entwining around its body. The 100-meter distance was covered in the blink of an eye. The blazing salamander pounced in front of Mo Xiao and opened its mouth, revealing its yellow teeth that looked incomparably sinister. It bit toward Mo Xiao. Mo Xiao's expression was calm. Origin power surged, and his legs were suffused with white light. He stomped on the ground and moved 2 meters to the left, instantly dodging the blazing salamander's pounce. Fleetfoot. Then, a pitch-black heavy sword appeared in his right hand. The muscles on his arm swelled, and with a shake of his wrist, his right hand swung out. A black shadow streaked across the air and slashed across the blazing salamander's neck. Chi! With a soft sound, the blazing salamander was sent flying. Its head was separated from its body in the air. A large amount of blood gushed out and splattered on the ground. It sizzled as it was burned by the scorching earth. The blood came into contact with the white mist. Mo Xiao glanced at the headless blazing fire salamander that was still writhing, then at the devil hound's spine in his hand. A hint of surprise flashed through his eyes. This was the first time he had used the devil dog spine to kill an enemy. This was also the first time he had seen the power of a rare grade heavenly forged equipment. The blazing salamander, which was 1 level stronger than him, couldn't even block a single normal attack. He didn't even use triple slash, as expected of a heavenly forged equipment. Mo Xiao praised, then turned to look at the blazing salamander again. Its headless body stopped writhing, and then its flesh began to wither and shrink. With a flash of white light, the blazing salamander's rough, reddish-brown skin fell off. Mo Xiao smiled and picked up the blazing salamander skin before continuing his exploration. Time passed, and it was soon afternoon. The hottest time had passed, and the blazing sun was setting in the west, causing the temperature to drop. In these few hours, Mo Xiao could be said to have reaped a bountiful harvest. He roughly calculated that he had obtained at least 100 points. At this rate, it shouldn't be a problem for him to enter the upper 3 universities. This made Mo Xiao's mood much better. Walking out of the flat wasteland, Mo Xiao arrived at a small mountain range. Unlike the limestone hills, the blazing salamander's mountain range only had some withered grass, while the rest were rocks and hard soil. It wasn't as lush and verdant as the limestone hills forest. Mo Xiao moved around the mountain range, looking for herbs. Along the way, he saw other examinees here and there, but they all restrained themselves and left after greeting each other. In a valley area, Mo Xiao revealed a pleasantly surprised expression as soon as he walked in. Mo Xiao saw strands of bright red light in a patch of withered grass in the distance. There's good stuff. Mo Xiao walked over in a few steps. The bright red light wrapped around an ordinary-looking withered grass. Mo Xiao took out his herb-picking shovel and dug up the soil around the withered grass. A faint blue light flashed, causing Mo Xiao's heart to beat faster. He swallowed his saliva. Rare-ranked herbs. As expected of the suffering Great Void domain, there were actually rare-ranked herbs. His hands moved even more carefully as he gently dug up the soil to prevent damaging the herbs. At this moment, a frivolous voice came from behind him. "Isn't this the country bumpkin? I didn't expect to see you here." Mo Xiao's hands paused as he turned to look in the direction of the voice. 2 figures walked over from the corner of the valley. One was a night creature youth wearing white leather armor with his slender eyebrows slightly raised and a frivolous expression. The other was a rabbit man youth with a fierce-looking face and squinting eyes, wearing khaki leather armor. Mo Xiao Bai raised his brows and stood up. The night creature youth grinned. "Country bumpkin, come, let me see what you've obtained. If you take it out, I won't beat you up. How about that?" The rabbit man youth at the side snickered with a ferocious expression. Mo Xiao Bai was about to speak when the rabbit man youth's smile froze. His squinted eyes widened and were almost the size of a normal person. His mouth was agape as he looked at the ground behind Mo Xiao Bai. He patted the night creature youth beside him and said with a trembling voice, Xiao Fei, look at the ground. The ground behind that country bumpkin." The night creature youth was stunned as he looked in the direction the rabbit man youth was pointing. Thereafter, his eyes widened as well. His frivolous face flushed red and his body trembled slightly. "Rare-ranked herbs." The smile on his face spread. "We're rich. Rare-ranked herbs are worth at least 200 points." Wielding long swords, the two of them strode towards Mo Xiao Bai with gray and red light swirling around them. The night creature youth's expression was menacing as he roared at Mo Xiao Bai. "Country bumpkin, get lost." Mo Xiao Bai chuckled as a cold glint flashed through his eyes. He bent his legs slightly and a white light flashed on them. Bam! A series of spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the ground that was not sturdy to begin with. Mo Xiao Bai's body turned into an afterimage and appeared in front of the night creature youth almost instantly. Sensing Mo Xiao Bai's speed, the night creature youth and the rabbit man youth's pupils constricted violently. However, the fact that they were able to become fledglings meant that their strength was extraordinary and their reactions were not weak either. Both of them took a step back at the same time as the long swords in their hands flashed with a hazy white light. Both of them burst forth with their cultivation of level 6 with one orifice. Sensing the sharp aura on the long swords, Mo Xiao Bai's expression was unchanged. The fiend dog spine appeared in his right hand, and a white light wrapped around the pitch-black heavy sword. Triple slash. Clang. Mo Xiao Bai's first slash landed on the rabbit man youth's long sword. The rabbit man youth's expression changed drastically as his arm trembled and his sword flew out of his hand. Clang! Mo Xiao Bai's second slash landed on the night creature youth's longsword. The night creature youth's body trembled, and his face turned pale as his long sword flew out of his hand as well. For the third slash, Mo Xiao Bai changed from a slash to a slap. He held back a portion of his strength, and the heavy sword landed on the rabbit man youth's chest. Bang! With a dull thud, the rabbit man youth's round body was sent flying like a rubber ball as he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood in the air. Mo Xiao Bai did not look at the rabbit man youth who was sent flying. He reached out with his left hand and grabbed the pale night creature youth's face. His titan power burst forth as he took a step forward and pressed the night creature youth's head against the ground. Bang! The night creature youth's head made intimate contact with the dry and hard ground, letting out a dull thud. Ah! The night creature youth's body trembled in pain as he screamed. His right hand flashed with a white light as he wanted to continue attacking. Mo Xiao Bai's gaze was cold as he lifted the night creature youth's head again and pressed it down. Bang! Spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the hard ground as blood splattered out. The night creature youth trembled violently, and his limbs went limp as the white light slowly dissipated. Through the gaps between Mo Xiao Bai's fingers, the night creature youth's eyes revealed a look of fear. Mo Xiao Bai chuckled as he stared at the night creature youth's fearful eyes. Yeah, that's it. Chapter 49. When the night spirit youth heard that, a trace of humiliation and anger flashed through his fearful eyes as he exerted strength once more. Right then, Mo Xiao Bai's calm voice rang out. If you move again, do you believe that I'll press your head into the ground? Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the corners of the night spirit youth's eyes twitched and his body gradually calmed down. Mo Xiao Bai looked at the slowly dissipating gray light and smiled in satisfaction, releasing his hand from the night spirit youth's face. That's right. He looked at the sweat on his hand and wiped it on the clean part of the night spirit youth's leather armor. After standing up, and Mo Xiao Bai glanced at the rabbit youth who was leaning against a huge rock with a pale face and clutching his chest. Seeing Mo Xiao Bai look over, the rabbit youth's chubby body trembled and his narrowed eyes narrowed even more as sweat poured down his face. He looked away and said, "All right, take out your gains today and I'll let you go." Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the night spirit youth and the rabbit youth froze and revealed conflicted expressions. "You don't want to leave?" Mo Xiao Bai smiled. Seeing Mo Xiao Bai smile, the two of them trembled again. The night spirit youth hurriedly said, "Yes, yes, we'll give it to you right now." His face was no longer as frivolous as before and was filled with fear. As he spoke, he took out several transcendent grade materials, the parts of magical beast corpses and 2 light red flowers, and handed them to Mo Xiao Bai. Mo Xiao Bai took a look and saw that the magical beasts included blazing salamanders, wild wolves, blazing spiders, and other magical beasts. As for the 2 light red flowers, they were a type of herb called flame flower. In total, he had more than 40 points, which was not bad. Mo Xiao Bai then turned to look at the rabbit youth in the distance. The rabbit youth's chubby face twitched, but he still took out his gains. Mo Xiao Bai put it away and looked at it. It was about 40 points. Satisfied, he put everything away and smiled. "Let's go." The night spirit youth struggled to get up from the ground and walked over to help the rabbit youth up. The two of them limped out of the valley. Mo Xiao Bai only returned to the side of the rare-grade herb after their silhouettes had disappeared. He continued to collect the herbs. Outside the valley, the night spirit youth and the rabbit man youth supported each other as they walked. The night spirit youth glanced at the pale bunny youth. "Fatty, are you all right?" The rabbit human youth's mouth twitched, and he said, his sternum might have cracked. Night spirit paused for a moment. "Let's drink a bottle of low-grade healing medicine. It's going to be night soon." The rabbit human youth showed a pained expression, but he still nodded and drank a bottle of low-grade healing potion. Soon, his face gradually regained its rosy color. Phew! The rabbit human youth exhaled, some lingering fear on his face. "That village, that Mo Xiao Bai, what kind of monster is he? I felt like he held back at the end, or else I might have been killed." The night spirit youth was also a little shocked. "That guy, we all cultivate the highest quality elementary origin refinement technique, but I feel that the quality of our origin power is not as good as his. He must be cultivating flawless origin refinement." "I feel the same way." The rabbit human youth nodded. "Also, that origin skill of his is definitely a perfected rare origin skill. My rare origin skill has already been cultivated to the proficient level, but my sword was sent flying with a single blow. That strength is too terrifying." He seemed to recall Mo Xiao Bai's terrifying strength, and his body trembled again. "Not only that, I feel that the black heavy sword might not be an ordinary item either. Our weapons are all rare grade. If it was only the difference between our origin skills and origin power, we wouldn't have lost so miserably. That guy's weapon might be a rare grade 1. A rare grade 1 weapon." The rabbit human youth's eyes widened to the size of a normal person's. "A village examinee from town. Where did he get such a top-grade weapon?" The night spirit youth exhaled slightly, then said, "There's another possibility. That guy awakened a strength-type innate talent." These words made the rabbit human youth pause. After a moment of silence, he said, "This possibility isn't small." The two of them looked at each other, then smiled bitterly. "With that guy's strength, he has a high chance of entering the big 3. Who would have thought that such a person would appear in a small town?" The rabbit human youth said. The night spirit youth nodded. Just as he nodded, he suddenly grimaced, revealing a pained expression. The rabbit human youth paused, then asked with concern, "What's wrong?" The night spirit youth touched the back of his head, his hand covered in blood. The corners of his eyes twitched, and a trace of fear flashed through them. "Damn, that Mo Xiao Bai is a madman. My brain was almost crushed by him. Ha!" The rabbit human youth laughed loudly. "I thought I was the only one who was miserable. What are you laughing at?" The night spirit youth rolled his eyes at him in annoyance, then said, "No, I have to take a healing potion too. It's coming tonight, I can't be careless. With that, he took out a healing potion and drank it. In the valley, Mo Xiao Bai dug out the rare herb. It was a herb that was similar to the scorched earth rhizome, but instead of a thin and withered rhizome, there was a piece of stem that was about the size of 2 fists. Mo Xiao Bai looked at the withered yellow stem and smiled. The scorched earth stem was an advanced herb of the scorched earth rhizome and was extremely rare. This item was worth 250 points. Mo Xiao Bai happily put away the scorched earth stem. With his previous harvest, coupled with the harvest that the 2 fellows sent over and the scorched earth stem, Mo Xiao Bai calculated that he would have more than 400 points today. Based on the speed of gaining points, it would not be as simple as just passing the threshold of the big 3, right? He had to work harder. Mo Xiao Bai exhaled and searched the valley again. After finding nothing, he left the valley. The sun in the distance had already turned from white to gold and was slowly sinking into the horizon. The blue and cloudless sky was gradually swallowed by the dark green curtain of night. Under the dark green sky, the small mountain range looked like a black demon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Wisps of night breeze blew across the land, as if to blow away the high temperature of the day. The air was no longer stuffy, and the temperature began to cool down. Phew! Mo Xiao Bai exhaled slightly and looked at the last ray of sunlight disappearing into the horizon. His expression was somewhat solemn. Night came. P.S. Thanks to Napoleon's underwear and 1606110810034445 for the gift. Thank you, big brother. Chapter 50. It's a woo. The moonlight and starlight cast a silver veil over the barren and scorching wilderness. Roars could be heard one after another. Mo Xiao Bai had returned to the valley from before. There were many cracked rocks and hard soil on the cliffs. He used the devil hound's spine to dig inside. Soon, he had dug out a shelter that a person could enter horizontally. This was the inspiration Mo Xiao Bai got from the time he dodged the one-apertured graystone wolf in the Graystone Hills. After entering the crevice, Mo Xiao Bai dug out large pieces of rock to block the entrance of the crevice, leaving only a few gaps. Not only could he see the situation outside, but he could also ensure the flow of air. After he was done, Mo Xiao Bai was drenched in sweat and panting in exhaustion. He rejoiced in his heart. The hardness of the rocks and soil here was not low. Fortunately, he was using the rare heavenly cast demon dog spine. If he was still using the elite gray stone heavy sword, he might not have been able to dig out this place. Even if he used a normal rare weapon, the difficulty would not be low, right? He leaned against the uneven rock wall and rested for a while. Then he stuck his head out to look at the gap. Under the silver light of the moon and stars, the scene in the valley was clearly visible. For figures had appeared in the originally quiet valley. 2 blazing spiders that were 1 meters tall, 1 wilderness wolf that was 6 meters tall, and 1 blazing salamander that was more than 4 meters long. The wilderness wolf and blazing salamander attacked the 2 blazing spiders. The 4 magical beasts crashed into the rocks and cliffs, roaring and hissing incessantly. Fresh blood splattered on the silver ground. Mo Xiao Bai retracted his gaze and exhaled lightly. At night, the magical beast's temperaments were even more violent and savage than during the day. Many examinees would probably be eliminated tonight. Fortunately, his current position was not bad. There was a place for him to hide. He did not think too much about it. He leaned his body into the depths of the crack and closed his eyes to rest. Throughout the night, the roars and sounds of battle never stopped. Only when the sun rose from the horizon and the silver light turned into the brilliant morning light did the restlessness in the valley stop. Within the crack, Mo Xiao Bai, who had finished his cultivation, opened his eyes. He came to the edge of the crack and looked at the situation in the valley outside. He found that the valley had calmed down. Mo Xiao Bai pushed aside the boulder, blocking the entrance of the crevice, and walked out. However, when he saw the valley clearly, he could not help but be stunned. There were many areas in the valley where blood was spilled, and some areas were littered with severed limbs. There were even a few corpses of magical beasts. This Mo Xiao was overjoyed and hurriedly began to search the valley. He then found the corpses of 2 wilderness wolves, 3 blazing spiders, and 1 blazing salamander. One of the blazing spiders even produced a normal poison sac. Sure enough, the early bird gets the worm. He had actually picked up more than 20 points after sleeping. Mo Xiao happily kept the items. Then he walked out of the valley and continued into the depths of the mountain range. 4 days later, in the depths of the mountain range, in a cave at the bottom of a mountain, Mo Xiao held the devil hound's spine épée and panted slightly. There were a few hideous cracks on his leather armor, and there was a huge corpse lying beside him. It was the corpse of a 1-apertured level 8 blazing salamander. Mo Xiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and skillfully knocked out a tooth from the blazing salamander. He put it away and went into the depths of the cave. On the ground in the deepest part of the cave, there was a small flower that looked like a small flame. There were wisps of green light flickering on the flower, and red rays of light twined around it. It was an elite-level flame flower. Mo Xiao smiled. As expected of the depths of the blazing moor, there's so many good things. Mo Xiao had been going deeper into the blazing moor for the past few days. The deeper he went, the hotter the temperature and the stronger the magical beasts. In his current area, 1-apertured level 7 magical beasts were very common, and even level 8 magical beasts were not rare. This was the lair of a 1-apertured level 8 blazing salamander. If he hadn't seen the red rays of light here, Mo Xiao wouldn't have wanted to deal with the owner of this lair. With his current strength, he could kill a 1-apertured level 8 magical beast, but it would be dangerous and injuries would be unavoidable. The best prey would naturally be a magical beast below level 7. However, the red rays of light were too tempting, and he couldn't resist. Mo Xiao bent down and carefully plucked the flame flower. He put it into his spatial ring, then turned and left the lair. Outside the cave, he wiped the sweat off his forehead and exhaled. He looked around and found a small path to go up the mountain. The path was rugged, and he had just walked a short distance when a clear voice rang out above him. "My friend, are you on the wrong path? You're only at level 5 with 1 aperture. Aren't you afraid of death?" The sudden voice stunned Mo Xiao. His body tensed up and his heart pounded violently. He jerked his head up to look in the direction of the voice. He didn't know when, but a young elf appeared on a protruding rock 100 meters away. This young elf wore a green silk robe with complicated inscriptions carved on it. It was incomparably gorgeous. He had a head of long green hair and was very handsome. His green eyes were full of vigor, and his hands were behind his back. He was tall and slender, and he had a refreshing smile on his face. He looked like a noble. Seeing the young elf, Mo Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of shock. He hadn't sensed anyone before the young elf spoke. However, Mo Xiao noticed that the lines of providence around the young elf were white, so he wasn't nervous. It was harmless to him. Mo Xiao's tense body relaxed. Just as Mo Xiao was sizing up the young elf chuckled and said, "There's a magical beast coming." Before he finished speaking, Mo Xiao turned to look in the direction of the rocky cliff on the left. There was a dark gray light floating in that direction, and it was quickly approaching. Hiss! With a hiss, a dark red shadow rushed out from behind the rock and pounced towards Mo Xiao. It was a huge blazing giant spider. Its 8 claws were covered in long fur, and the tips of its claws flashed with a cold light. They were as sharp as daggers. Mo Xiao clenched his right hand, and the pitch-black devil hound's spine appeared. White light flashed on his legs, and he stepped on the ground. His body disappeared on the spot, and he passed by the blazing giant spider. At the same time, 3 black arcs of light streaked across the sky. Chi chi chi. Hiss! The blazing giant spider let out a sharp cry, and dark green mucus fell from the sky. Dong! Its huge body landed heavily on the ground. Its body twitched for a while, and then it stopped moving. Mo Xiao bent his legs and landed on the ground. He took a deep breath and shook off the mucus on the devil hound's spine. He walked over and chopped off one of the spider's claws and stored it in his spatial ring. In his opinion, A one-apertured level 7 blazing giant spider was still a little weak. The young elf watched from afar as Mo Shao by smoothly killed the one-apertured level 7 blazing giant spider. He was stunned, and a trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. He looked at Mo Shao by, as if he was sizing him up again. Then he praised softly, "My friend, you're quite skilled.